H. influenza, you have things like E. coli. In worst cases, you have Klebsiella, and of course, all of these bacteria can actually cause urinary tract infection. When they affect the different levels of the body, they have their different symptoms. So some of them get as far as the kidneys, cause things like pyelonephritis, and it further goes down to damaging symptoms. Okay, so it can be caused by bacteria, fungi, viruses are the commonest one. Protozoas can also cause it, and sometimes worms infections. 5 major steps actually preventing urinary tract infections. Number 1 is maintaining a good hygiene. Hygiene has been seen to be implicated in urinary tract infections, and if you are not very careful with, especially with the underwears, you can recurrently cause urinary tract infection. And then, of course, with the areas of sanitation, the restrooms are very implicative. And even in, partners, sexual partners, sometimes you may need to be very cautious. Okay, so basically hygiene. Oftentimes you see ladies not properly, use their underwears, or sometimes they don't even use it or properly wash. So it's usually recommended that they wash recurrently with maybe a hypo, a sanitizer, as it were, or a jig, a detergent, and sometimes even iron. Okay, the reason for iron is to give the heat if you don't want to discard completely. All right. Other prevention mechanisms includes proper dieting. Okay. When we eat right, we prevent a lot of things. Sometimes when we do a lot of sugar, you provide a habitable environment for these microbes to grow. All right. A lot of sugar. Yeah. Sometimes we even think that high protein diets are very effective, but no, you further even provide, because you see, in improper dieting, you alter the pH of the body. This pH of the body is what is responsible for the maintaining a proper environment that organisms does not grow. When you distort it, certain organisms now begin to thrive in places where they're not supposed to thrive. The third thing is water, hydration, good level of hydration. Okay, keeps us consistently cleansed out. The fourth one is it's been said that especially in women, they ought to clean from front to back. Rather, yes, from front to back, not from back to front. Okay, that's the proper way of cleaning. And then there's been some drinks that have been used in, especially berry drinks, cranberry drinks, have been very effective in the GI. So if you have drinks that have the cranberry or berry nectar, you have a good chance of preventing it. Some other ways of preventing: regular testing, you can prevent your urinary tract infections. Yeah. The symptoms of urinary tract infections includes a recurrent urge to want to use the restroom. You have that recurrent, and sometimes it could be very little amount of urine that could come out. You could have burning sensation in the process of urinating. You could have, itchiness. You could have cloudy urine. Sometimes discolored urine that could either be red or dark coke colored and all that. And then one other thing, pain, especially lower abdominal pain. One of the classical symptoms, lower abdominal pain. For men, you could see, of course, some burning sensations on trying to urinate. Usually not so much. And they could also have discharge, but that happens more with sexually transmitted infections. Now, the point about improper treatment, especially in females, is that it's responsible for high levels of infertility when it's not properly treated. The bad part of urinary tract infection is that it takes a quiet stage and right there in the body, and many people walk away, especially guys, especially men. They feel that they're good, and so it takes a quiet stage, and then over time, it's the cause of, or they become transmitters. Then the women eventually are the ones who come down with the symptoms, but they or never come down with the symptoms at all, and then life is good. That people do, especially when you hear things like staph aureus and stuff. No, none of that is just very unacceptable. In the treatment of urinary tract infections, you get tested first, and you get drugs that are sensitive to these infections. Now, for some reasons, when adequate doses of these drugs are not taken, especially to completion, like I said to you, many times the treatment could last for as much as 2 weeks because of the level for where they are. The urinary tract infection is one of the lowest parts of the body. All right. So you have to do that long. If you don't do that, you begin to grow resistant strains of these microbes, and then you have to do it again and again. But the next time you're coming back to hit it, you don't get the same response like you got the first time. So it's important that whenever you're going to get treated, you treat for a very long time, and as much as 2 weeks, sometimes injections first, and then you complete the dosage with a couple of tablets that are sensitive to the organism. Whenever there is recurrence of urinary tract infection, it's important that you pay attention to hygiene. Check hygiene levels very importantly, and that simply means that you may want to discard all underwears and replace them. Have proper baths. Just pay more attention. Number one, you never treat urinary tract infections without trying to treat your partner. It's important that you check out your partner, especially when it is one partner. Okay, if there's multiple partners, you just have to do something about that. All right. Okay. But then you want to also pay attention to your partner. The second and the third important thing is to check your fluid balance and all the other exogenous things you take. Now, when you're treating with the drugs, I recommend that you do injections first and then you do orals. Many times orals don't get as deep and as far as what the injections will do. So even when you see sensitivity for certain drugs, you want to try the injections first. For me, I practice for 5 days minimum. And then subsequently, the books sometimes say up to 7 days. All right. And you do, subsequently you do the injections. When you do that, you get a better result because of the penetrating capacity of injections compared to tablets.
Good morning. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. This is the News Brief. President Bola Tinubu presented a budget estimate of 27.50 trillion naira for the 2024 fiscal year based on a crude oil benchmark price of $77.96 per barrel, daily oil production of 1.78 million barrels per day, and an exchange rate of 750 naira to the US dollar. The budget deficit is projected at 9.18 trillion naira.
We have adopted a conservative oil price benchmark of $77.96 per barrel and daily oil production estimate of 1.78 million barrels per day. We have also adopted a naira to US dollar exchange rate of 750 per US dollar for 2024. Accordingly, an aggregate expenditure of 27.5 trillion naira is proposed for the federal government in 2024, of which the non-debt recurrent expenditure is 9.92 trillion naira, while debt service is projected downward to be 8.25 trillion naira, and capital expenditure is 8.7 trillion naira. Nigeria remains committed to meeting its debt obligations. Projected debt service is 45% of the expected total revenue. The budget deficit is projected at 9.18 trillion naira in 2024, or 3.88% of GDP. This is lower than the 13.7 trillion naira deficit recorded in year 2023, which represents 6.11% of GDP. The deficit will be financed by new borrowings totaling 7.83 trillion naira. Strategically, 298 billion naira from privatization proceeds and 1.05 trillion naira drawdown on multilateral and bilateral loans secured for specific projects.
The president announced the 2024 budget of renewed hope aims to tackle critical issues, boost the economy, and resolve security concerns in the upcoming fiscal year.
The 2024 appropriation has been themed Budget of Renewed Hope. The proposed budget seeks to achieve job-rich economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhance human capital development, as well as poverty reduction and greater access to social security. Defense and internal security are recorded top priority. The internal security architecture will be overhauled to enhance law enforcement capabilities and safeguard lives, property, and investment across the country. Human capital is the most critical resource of national development. Accordingly, the budget prioritizes human development with particular attention to children, the foundation of our nation. To improve the effectiveness of our budget performance, government will focus on ensuring value for money, greater transparency, and accountability. In this regard, we will work more closely with development partners and the private sector to address long-standing issues in education. A more sustainable model of funding tertiary education will be implemented, including the student loan scheme planned to become operational by January 2024.
Meanwhile, some reactions have trailed the presentation of the 2024 budget by President Bola Tinubu to the joint session of the National Assembly. Some stakeholders say they are determined to double down on the attainment of the success of the budget.
The president was able to capture very copiously the issue of national security, human capacity development, particularly the youths, the teeming youths, young men and women. I think the budget will act as a stimulus package to address the current poverty line that Nigeria has fallen into, and once again recover our economy and fertilize it for even growth.
The fresh loans, partly because some loans are maturing and they will be refinanced. And as always, you are not going to finance 27.5 trillion all with revenue. So there will be continued reliance on loans, but less so. The important thing is that the size of the deficit, the size of the budget that is being relied on from borrowing is down.
In line with our constitutional mandate, the National Assembly is going to scrutinize the budget, and we hope that we'll be able to pass it in the next few weeks. Some important points for you to note is that it came in good enough time for us to be able to carry out the necessary scrutiny ahead of it being passed before December 31st, because Mr. President has said, and we agree, that we should align it, the financial year from January to December. So we're going to have a budget that's effective before January 1st.
About 45% debt servicing. That is not bad, except that we are borrowing more. Remember last year, debt to GDP was about 6%. Now debt to GDP is about 3%. And we have a deficit financing of about 8.7 trillion. And that means that we're going to fund that from external borrowing. I mean, it's a fairly interesting budget, and it's on infrastructure development. There are 11,886 abandoned federal government mega projects in Nigeria. Is that not worrisome? If you can complete about 3 or 4 of them, like Ajaokuta, then you retain your earning, and that will reduce pressure on the foreign exchange, and that will be very nice.
It shows that for the first time, we are having a paradigm shift of what we used to have in the past to that is new. And we want to believe that this is a trend that will continue into a foreseeable future for the next 4 years, so that Nigeria can witness for the first time a government who have lessened its borrowing and also taking up its capital expenditure. So I believe it's a right step in the right direction.
President Bola Tinubu has departed Abuja for Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, to attend the COP28 Climate Summit, which takes place on the 1st and 2nd of December 2023, according to presidential spokesman Ajuri Ngelale. At the World Leaders Summit, which will take place on December 1 and 2, 2023, with the theme Unite, Act and Deliver, Tinubu will deliver a national statement highlighting Nigeria's stance on various thematic issues, including renewable energy and climate financing. While in Dubai, he is also expected to participate in key sideline events which will further support the advancement of his avowed commitment to aggressively attract foreign direct investment for enhanced wealth creation and revenue expansion in the country, in addition to other events hosted by the Nigerian delegation. He had also informed the National Assembly during the 2024 budget presentation that the Nigerian delegation will strive to emerge from COP28 with tangible commitments and work towards securing substantial funding commitments that will bolster Nigeria's energy transition. The president is accompanied by senior government officials to the summit, also known as the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference, or Conference of Parties of the UNFCCC, COP28. Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has praised President Bola Tinubu's economic policies for their positive impact on foreign direct investment, FDI. He stated that the state is safe for investors to invest in and is seeking collaborations with the federal government for the construction of a cargo terminal and the completion of the international wing of Akanu Ibiam International Airport.
It is essentially, first of all, to commend the president, frankly, because he's a lot of the things that he's doing at the national level is also rubbing off on us at the state level. The policies, the removal of the fuel subsidy, the unification of the FX, what that simply means is that you're going to have a lot of FDIs coming in, and so we're also going to benefit from that.
The National Judicial Council may on Friday send the names of 11 successful candidates to President Bola Tinubu for appointment into the Supreme Court. It is also gathered that 22 shortlisted justices were screened on Tuesday at the committee room of the NJC in Abuja from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. One of our correspondents learned that the screened justices were divided into priority and reserved candidates. The Apex Court was reduced to 10 justices following the retirement of Musa Datijo. His retirement came after that of Justice Amina Ogie on September 22, 2023, and the death of Justice Chima Nweze on July 31, 2023. The 10 justices at the Supreme Court fall short of the 21 stipulated by Section 230, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended. One person has been confirmed killed in fresh protests that rocked Kano State over an appeal court verdict sacking Governor Abba Yusuf of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. The deceased, Salisu Rabiu, identified as a footballer, is one of the persons shot by policemen dispersing protesters. Wednesday's protest is the fourth since the appellate court sacked the governor on November 17, 2023, and declared All Progressives Congress APC candidate Nasiru Gawuna as the winner of the March poll. On Wednesday, protesters gathered in some locations across the state with placards having inscriptions like "Our mandate must be restored," Kanu voted for Abba, injustice exposed in CTC, amongst others. Wearing the color red, popular among the Kwankwasiya, a social religious movement with NNPP 2023 presidential candidate and ex-Kano governor Rabiu Kwankwaso as the group's leader, the protesters chanted solidarity songs to register their displeasure. Policemen were seen stationed at various entrances of the state. The protesters blocked the road linking to Katsina State, preventing commuters from traveling. In a statement, a police spokesman in the state, Abdullahi Kiyawa, confirmed the death of one of the protesters in the Fagi local government area of the state.
We are Nigerian citizens and we have the right to do the protest. So we are not stopping anybody from doing anything. We are here to show our anger that the judiciary is now zero.
Investigation has already commenced on this. Our area commander Dala is being directed to fish out if any of the policemen could be identified as the one that fired the shot and who gave him that instruction to fire. Already one police inspector has been arrested.
A political group under the aegis of the People's Democratic Party Concerned Group in Nasarawa State has called on the Supreme Court to carefully review the recent judgment of the appeal court sitting in Abuja, which validated Governor Abdullahi Sule as the authentic winner of the 2023 governorship election in the state. Recall that the tribunal had on October 2 sacked Governor Sule of the All Progressives Congress and declared David Ombugadu of the People's Democratic Party as the actual winner of the election. Speaking at the end of a peaceful protest held against the judgment in Lafia, the leader of the group, Adamu Henry, urged the Supreme Court to thoroughly look into the judgment of the appeal court in the Nasarawa governorship election in the interest of upholding the ideals of democracy in Nigeria. Henry lamented that the judgment fell short of real democratic principles that govern the nation, while expressing worry over the decision of the appeal court, which seemed to shield the insincerity of the Independent National Electoral Commission in its declaration of Sule as a duly elected governor of the state.
Witness a decision that seems to shield the insincerity of INEC, their irregularity, thereby questioning the credibility of our electoral process. We wish to highlight specifically instances of irregularity that were overlooked by the tribunal under the guise of technicalities. Authorities, particularly the Supreme Court, to thoroughly scrutinize this matter, rectify the injustice that have been committed. We trust in the integrities of the judiciary, a commitment to upholding the ideals of democracy in Nigeria.
The Northern Senators Forum has called on Nigerian President Bola Tinubu and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, leader to restore electricity supply to the Niger Republic, citing the ongoing restrictions causing hardship to Niger citizens. The forum also emphasized the need for the opening of airports for business purposes and urged Nigeria to respect the Nigeria-Niger Treaty mandate. They also called for the lifting of political and economic sanctions imposed on the country.
The Northern Central Forum urged the ECOWAS to lift restrictions on Niger Republic in the interest of business and other communities. It is important that Nigeria should not suffer because of the coup that took place just so that we have seen what is happening in Gaza. We urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Commander-in-Chief of Nigerian Armed Forces, and of course, the Chairman of ECOWAS, Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, to, as a matter of humanitarian gesture, restore electricity supply to Niger Republic, in line with the Nigeria-Niger treaty mandates. We therefore call for the attention of Nigerians and Nigerians that we remain brothers, we remain partners, and we remain African.
From other parts of Africa, winding gear at the giant South African platinum mine failed, sending an elevator into a precipitous fall that killed 11 workers and injured 75, the operators said on Tuesday. Impala Platinum said 14 of the injured workers remained in critical condition after the disaster on Monday, as the elevator brought the miners up after the end of their shift. All operations at the Rustenburg mine, northwest of Johannesburg, have been suspended, while an investigation is started, Company Chief Executive Nico Muller said in a statement. Outside Africa, Israel's army says 2 Israeli captives have been freed in Gaza ahead of the expected release of 10 others, 30 Palestinian women and children also to be freed from Israeli jails. Palestinian Foreign Minister calls for permanent ceasefire, stressing massacre cannot resume in Gaza. Analysts say truce negotiations have entered a pragmatic phase involving various mediators and stakeholders, with Hamas signaling a willingness to extend the pause in fighting. More than 15,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7. In Israel, the official death toll stands at 1,200. In business news, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has said the country cannot rely on borrowing to fund the 2024 budget. He said the nation must make necessary sacrifices to generate adequate revenues to reduce its current high deficit financing. The minister stated these during the public presentation and breakdown of the approved 2024 budget.
In order to stabilize the Nigerian economy for rapid inclusive growth, there is going to be less reliance on borrowing. The budget deficit is being brought down from about 6%, 6.1% of GDP to 3.88% of GDP. That's a huge change in direction from unlimited and limitless borrowing to focusing on revenue, expenditure management, to give value for money with expenditure and to raise revenue.
In entertainment news, Nigerian singer Divine Ikubo, popularly known as Rema, has suspended all his performances billed for December. The Calm Down crooner, who was initially scheduled to tour the cities of Lagos, Abuja and Benin, said he wouldn't be performing anywhere this December due to health reasons. Revealing these via his Instagram story, Rema said he is heartbroken by the sudden development. He, however, promised to return to the stage next year. And finally, sports news. Victor Boniface will be looking to add to his tally this season after failing to find the net in his last 5 outings when Bayer Leverkusen. The Nigerian forward has backed 11 goals in 17 games for Bayer Leverkusen so far across all competitions this season, but last scored in their 3-0 win over Cologne in a Bundesliga game in November 9. The Nigerian was in explosive form at the start of the season, scoring 3 braces in his first 5 appearances, while the 22-year-old's rate of finding the back of the net has since slowed. It is impossible to say his start to the season has been any less than a resounding success, with 6 assists to add to his 11 goals from his first 17 matches, making him the most prolific contributor to the lightning start Xabi Alonso's team have made. And with that, we wrap it up on the News Brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Thanks for being there.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hepatitis is a major global health issue affecting millions of people around the world. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, hepatitis affects more than 354 million people worldwide.
Hepatitis means inflammation of the liver. Inflammation means when the liver has suffered an injury or has been exposed to some toxic agents, then it results in injury of the liver. And it can be caused by infectious or non-infectious agents. So when I say infectious agent, it can be caused by hepatitis viruses, like hepatitis A, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C, hepatitis E, hepatitis D viruses. So those are the infectious causes. And the non-infectious causes can also be due to alcohol overuse. It can be due to some injection of toxic agents. For example, herbal concussion. It can also be caused by autoimmunity when the antibodies of the body, the soldiers of the body, see the liver as being hazardous to the body and begin to fight against the body. Also, toxic agents like from some drugs that are taken without, maybe we ask, how are we exposed to these infectious agents? Some of them, it is through ingestion of certain foods or water. For example, hepatitis A virus is contacted through foods that are infected by feces of infected people, people who carry the virus. So when the food you eat is contaminated or the water you drink is contaminated by hepatitis A or E, then one can be infected with that. Then through exposure to some infected body fluids or body secretions, like semen of someone who is infected with hepatitis B or C or hepatitis D.
The theme for this year's World Hepatitis Day is Hepatitis Can't Wait. This theme asserts that people should not wait to act on a disease as deadly as hepatitis and conveying the urgency of efforts needed to eliminate the disease. According to the World Health Organization, dying of viral hepatitis in Africa is a bigger threat than dying of AIDS, malaria, or tuberculosis.
Talking about symptoms of hepatitis, well, it also depends on the cause, because some people are just carriers, they may not exhibit symptoms, especially people who have had infection, for example, the ones that cause long-term infections, we say chronic infections like hepatitis B and C. So some people may not exhibit anything, they may live like other people, or maybe just experience subtle symptoms like maybe body pain once in a while, muscle pain, joint pains, just subtle, something you can attribute to another illness. And if it's an acute infection, meaning that it happened, just started suddenly, for example, hepatitis A, even B can come acutely when the person will just be very ill. So for such a person, they can come with jaundice, that's the yellowness of the eyes. Some can present with non-specific symptoms like body weakness, joint pains, flu-like illnesses. Some can even come with poor appetite, vomiting. Some can be very ill when they have acute illness.
The World Hepatitis Day calls for global attention on the strains of the virus, their mode of transmission, how to prevent it, and the treatments available.
Treatment also depends on the cost. So, for example, some of them are self-limiting. What I mean is that because they are caused by viruses like hepatitis A and E, the body may fight it. So we can treat with just, say, supportive treatment. So for those who are dehydrated, who are vomiting, we try to stop the vomiting. But the first thing is, you feel sick, you go to the hospital where a doctor attends to you, take your history, examines you, run some investigations, then the treatment. Some of them, you can give antiviral agents, that's in the hospital. Some of them, if, for example, I've mentioned that hepatitis can be caused by non-infectious agents like exposure to some toxins. So if someone consumes alcohol, you may need to limit alcohol use. If someone has an unhealthy lifestyle, for example, taking too much of alcohol, engaging in unprotected intercourse, you try and educate them. Those who require to be on maybe some drugs to suppress their immunity, autoimmune hepatitis, we do that.
Nigeria is among the African nations that signed to a global health strategy sector target set by the World Health Organization in 2016 to eliminate viral hepatitis as a major public health threat by 2030. This strategy has been adopted and endorsed by 194 countries. The aim is to reduce new hepatitis infections by 90% and death by 65% between 2016 and 2030.
Our Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has accused banks and black market traders in the country of sabotaging the government's effort in preventing the continuous fall of the naira. Due to this, the Apex Bank is reportedly planning a new set of sanctions targeted at banks and black market traders in the country. Now, reports reveal that the CBN intends to probe deposit money banks for holding foreign exchange and engaging in round tripping. It was also gathered that some banks are speculating purchasing from the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market (NAFEM) and selling for profit in the parallel market. Now, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund had green-lighted the unification of the naira, but insisted that more efforts are required for the full dividends to be delivered. Is the naira set to rise soon with the CBN's pledge to sanction banks holding dollars? We will look at that and more on the show today as we focus on the forex crisis in the country. Welcome to Business Insights on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. But just before we get into the discussion proper, Market women at Tedrosho Market have been urged to make the most of simple technological tools to scale up their businesses and accelerate growth. This advice was given during a She-enabled sensitization program organized by the Enterprise Growth and Opportunities Ego Foundation at the market in Lagos. Details in this report. Nigeria is experiencing inflation, and most women are depressed and struggling with their businesses. They are helpless, and most of them are victims of mismanagement due to lack of proper financial management. So it is apt that these young people from the Ego Foundation take time to distribute multilingual pamphlets on the importance of maintaining written or computerized records of their sales and stock.
And this is what I know I'm able to make. These are the things that we want to teach you. I sell this thing.
Well, back here at this hall, women listen with rapt attention on how they can be financially included with the help of their mobile phones. The session is interactive.
I think they will charge about 800 and something, let's say 1,000 naira.
Then how do you reach out to those kind of group members?
Roland Ajetomobi is a serial entrepreneur. He is here to share knowledge and insights with the market women and entrepreneurs on the best way to go.
At the moment you are able to have a mobile device and you can subscribe to that device with internet and data, and you also have a bank account, you can use that device to make money.
Toluwase Olaniyan is a convener. He shares the idea behind desensitization and also speaks on plans to extend the program to other markets.
And for us, it is instructive at this time, right, and very, very important, helping women, supporting women through becoming better at their businesses. Of course, around where we have large markets and on the South communities. So we've been to Alimosho, been to Mushin. So the next stop will be, we're going to Ikorodu, we're going to, Fai, Egbeda, Badagry. Places where we can harness a large number of businesses. It's almost natural for women to be excluded, financially. A few people feel it's expensive. People feel it's for the high class. So what we're trying to now do is to take it to the inner roots and help them understand the essence of this and how this can become a lot better.
This petty trader is overjoyed about the knowledge learned. She, like other women, are speaking with one voice on how their horizon have been expanded.
I'm happy because I know that the various women that comes here will be benefited.
You need to meet to have people they can afford what you are selling on your status. In your group or your WhatsApp, your Facebook.
I'm not limited to these shop things of a thing. I can easily broadcast it online and how to also reach out to other group members.
Felicia and Olajumoke are just few out of many who have benefited from the She-enabled program, which aims to help women improve their trade, showcase their businesses on digital platforms, upgrade their bookkeeping skill, and at the same time get connected to advisors and global funding opportunities. Welcome back from that Women Empowerment Program. Now, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Cardoso, has assured that the institution will do all within its statutory functions to tackle the foreign exchange shortage in the country. According to him, his team will deal with identified distortions and ensure a conducive atmosphere for different categories of investors in the Nigerian economy. Well, moving on now, my guest Samuel Shomi is a seasoned capital market professional. He currently works at Iron Global Markets Limited, a subsidiary of Iron Capital, an Africa-focused investment banking franchise based in Africa and a representative office in London. Before joining Iron Global in 2021, Samuel was the chief dealer of Rainbow Securities and Investment Limited, a dealer stockbroking firm in Nigeria. He joins me now to discuss on how speculation and holding are affecting the nation's forex regime, among other issues. Many thanks for joining me, Samuel.
It's my pleasure being here today.
All right, let's just dive straight into it. Speculation, hoarding, and round-tripping have been identified as the bane of the appreciation of the value of the naira. How best can the federal government address this issue?
Well, thank you very much for asking that question. Firstly, the government have identified the problem. Then the next thing is to provide solution. Before the coming in of this new administration, our FX market was characterized by multiple exchange rate regimes. You understand? And that regime created a lot of loophole for currency round tripping and racketeering. Because at that level, that time, we see what we observe is that people will go to the autonomous market to buy at spot and now take it to the black market and other places to sell. And the thing is that we must understand the mechanics and the dynamics of the FX market itself. Recently, CBN have been complaining about speculation and hoarding. Good enough, it is happening. But speculation is a market ingredient that we must understand in derivative market. What we use the derivative instrument for is for speculation and hedging against foreign exchange risk.
Okay.
So what is speculation in its simple sense? It is just the purchase of an asset with the belief that the value of the asset is going to arise in the short run. It is for short-term trading. Definitely, people will speculate around any financial asset, be it stock, be it FX, and any other, financial instrument. But coming to the issue that we currently have now, the new administration have decided to float the local currency, the naira. And floating the naira simply means we want to subject the value of the naira to the forces of demand and supply.
Yes.
And if you want to do that, it means we want to be looking at the mechanics of our import and our export. You understand? So for us to be able to stabilize the price of the naira, we need to do more in terms of ensuring that we are increasing our export so that we'll be earning more foreign exchange and bringing it into the market so as to create liquidity for whoever that is demanding for it. So government has taken a right step in the right direction by first of all coming up with the statement that they want to now come up with an with a transparent policy, giving out the new direction, the new FX direct market structure and regulation in terms of how government wants the transaction in the FX market to be done. It is very, very good making that pronouncement. Another thing that government did was to issue an executive order which is trying to look at how we can now be issuing out dollar-denominated instrument within the local market, and also coming up with another dollar-denominated instrument that is targeted at people in diaspora.
True.
All this attempt is to ensure that we are increasing the supply side of the market, so that as soon as there is demand, there is adequate supply to match. And if we can ensure that, definitely the naira will appreciate in value. But coming up to say we want to start clamping down on defaulters and people that are adding, I've said it in different fora that firstly government needs to engage all these market participants.
Okay.
Without these people in the market, there is no market. Without market participant, and in most cases, market pre-exists the rules. You see market operators operating, then you come to regulate their operation.
Yes.
So government needs to approach every key stakeholder in the market, engage them in deep conversation. In the last statement, the creditor to the CBN governor, I watched it live and I listened to it. I'm so happy that he made mention of it, that they are going to start engaging the market operators, engaging them, laying the rules before them, let them understand the new direction that the government wants to move, so that everybody can operate within the sphere of the rules, and that will assist us to stabilize the value of naira.
I get all of that, and what Yemi Cardoso is trying to do with his these dollars on the nation's economy.
Well, the impact of hoarding is that it will negatively impact the economy, because it will create artificial scarcity of that currency in the market. And once there's scarcity, the value of dollar will go up. You understand? And that is not going to help the country at all. Anybody that is into that currently might be enjoying the current situation, but they must bear in mind that to revive Nigerian economy is a responsibility that beckons on everybody in the country, even Nigerians outside Nigeria. They too, they need to repatriate some of the earnings they've made here and come and invest in their country.
So diaspora investment.
Yes, there is need for, we need to intensify action and advocacy on diaspora investment in Nigeria. Also, looking at what the president is doing now, engaging, different countries, speaking to them, trying to tell them that Nigeria is ready for business is another way by which we can attract foreign investment into our country. All that put together, we are only trying to build up the supply side. Because by the time foreign investors are coming in, whether in form of direct investment or in form of a foreign portfolio investment into equities and other instruments in our local market here, what we bring to the market is that it's going to increase the injection of liquidity into the market. For others, they have to retrace their step. Because after the CBN fine-tune his rule and comes up with the rule, then the climbing down on any defaulter will start.
All right, that is very well understood. But over time, commercial banks have been indicted in terms of round-tripping and all of this holding and speculation. But I want you to break it down for us how culpable they really are.
Well, that's a very sensitive question. And the way to look at it, like I've said, we have different level of markets, participants in this market. CBN itself is a market participant.
Yes, it is.
The role it plays is that it injects liquidity into the market. The commercial bank, they are also key stakeholder in the market. They are market participants. They play dual role. They serve as the vehicle through which the injection of liquidity into the market, permeate into the market and circulate. That is what the commercial bank do. Another role they play is that they too also have a trading desk. They also trade on the currency.
Yes, they do.
You understand? So with that, what CBN should do is that CBN understand the language of the commercial bank very, very well. It needs to speak to them and let them know that, okay, this is the limit you can do with this. We can't really say the commercial bank should not play in the market any longer in terms of their own trading desk. They have proprietary trading portfolio. And the essence of trading in the market is to make profit.
True.
So we must be able to balance it. The bottom line is that every market participant should have the interest of the country at heart and play fairly in the market.
Okay, I know this is Nigeria, and of course, most of the transactions that we do locally are denominated in Naira terms. But would you support local businesses charging their clients in FX in the country?
Oh, well, that's another very sensitive question. And the way to look at it is that at this point in time, now that we have subjected the value of Naira to forces of demand and supply, the honest reckon on us is that we must try to make sure that we increase the rate at which we can lower our propensity to import. If we can lower our propensity to import or demand for forex, it's going to assist us in restoring the value of Naira. The lower the demand, you understand, the higher the value of Naira would be. If we reduce the demand for dollar, that is, we are reducing the pressure. If we are bringing down the pressure on the demand side, then the little we are getting from the supply side will be able to satisfy the market very well. Now, talking about companies that charges, for their services in dollar within Nigerian economy, government has to take a bold step towards curbing that. Curbing that. The set of business that will be doing that will not be business done by ordinary people in the country.
Small businesses, yes.
It will be bigger corporations. It will be businesses that are backed by either PEP or some people in high, authority in the country. But the truth is this: we cannot tolerate it. Government must come up with a bold step to put an end to it. You can't be playing in our market and be charging in dollars. The reason is this: fine, you can say that some of your equipment will be imported. Those equipment that are imported are one-off transaction. Are you getting it? But when it comes to your daily operation, your core ordinary activities, which has to do with your daily operation, they are done in Naira. Everything you are going to be needing, from your overhead cost, say, okay, your cost of energy, you are paying for it in naira.
Sure.
Your overhead cost in terms of staff cost. Majority of your staff will be Nigerians. You understand?
Except for the expatriates.
Except for the expatriate. Then what is the proportion of the expatriate to Nigerians that are working in this company to the extent that they can now be charging in dollars? That is another thing that is contributing to the pressure on the forex side. So government has to take a bold step. It might look very tough, but it is something we need to do. We know truly that there are some hospitals that have specialized, services they render. You understand? But be that as it may, this is our country. The interest of the country must be very, very paramount in our mind. And we must put the record straight. We just have to put it to them. If you want to play in our economy, you must play within the rule. We cannot tolerate you charging in dollars while your operations are denominated in naira, stuff.
Okay, speaking of easing the demand for forex, dollars and all of that, you talked in passing, you talked about the need for more export. But over time, we still have issues, exporting, some of even agricultural produces from the country here. And do you really think all the barriers have been, taken care of to just enable exportation to thrive in this country?
Well, to a very large extent, we need to look at our export, zones and look at coming up with, policy that will actually, incentivize and, policy that will mobilize people to go into those areas and be exporting those goods. And another thing is this. Basically, what we are currently exporting is crude oil and some agricultural produce. We need to look at our local industry, our manufacturing industry, our, homegrown companies.
Even the textiles and all
yes, that. To what extent has government been able to support these local manufacturers to the extent that they can export some of their produce? You understand? Those are the key things we need to look at if truly want to stabilize our economy and stabilize the value of the naira. We must support local production of most of the items that we are importing, support them to the extent that they can now be also exporting some of their products to neighboring sub-Saharan African countries, if not to Europe. You understand? So those are the kind of things that the new government should try to come up with policy reforms and look at those areas so that we will have a very stable economy that will be resilient to external shock.
All right. Just before we let you go, I just have to throw this one in quickly because of time. Closing the gap between the official rate and the parallel FX market rate, how can this be done by government, and what interventions do we really need to do at the short term?
Well, in the short run, government has started the intervention by trying to clear the backlog of FX forward. They've done with 31 banks.
Yes.
And the CBN governor reaffirms the position of the CBN to continue to clear the backlog. We have a backlog of about $6.7 billion.
Right.
And against the background of the information that we're expecting an inflow of $10 billion from all crude oil sales.
Right.
You understand? So with that, government should continue to sustain. They should sustain that action, continue to inject liquidity into the market. As liquidity is abound in the market, definitely naira will begin to rally. Another thing is this: you look at every other player in the market. We are talking about the banks. What about the BDC? What about the aboki on the streets? What the CBN needs to do, or the government needs to do, is to bring everybody together into a well-regulated net, so that we can monitor the activity of everybody. This is not the time to neglect one segment,
So
thinking
it should
that
be all inclusive.
it should be all inclusive, everybody, because, like I said the other time, the responsibility to revive Nigeria economy is a collective responsibility. So CBN policy must also be an holistic one that touches on every market participant's activity in the market.
All right, thank you so much, Samuel. We could just go on and on specifically about this FX issue, because it actually does affect all of us. My guest has been Samuel Shomi, capital market professional. Many thanks for all of the useful insights that you have shared on the show for today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, that's the size of the show for this morning. I am Justin Academy. Many thanks for being there. Bye for now.
engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
Photography for me was more a means of expression than, at the beginning, than a source of income, you know. Luckily for me, my fine arts career had picked up, so I was making a living as a painter while developing the passion for photography. So that gave me the opportunity, you know, to stand my ground and beat out a path, you know, towards the mastery of my craft, and then become, you know, the Kelechi Amadi Obi that you people know today. Is all about insisting that my work had to be excellent. You see, I always tell people, do not chase success. You attract success by developing yourself. So when you apply yourself, you learn your ways, you improve your learning, you practice what you've learned. Once you improve yourself, then you add more value to the world. And then the world has no choice than to add financial value.
It took me 2 years to set up my house. I have to support my son. I have to do some things for my siblings, my younger ones. So it took me 2 years. I was making money by then. I was saving money, going to locations, but I was using a Nokia phone. I don't get carried away with anything. I don't want to stay in Lekki by force. I decided to keep my dignity against all odds. But during this period, a lot of people mocked me. How can you be staying in Obawole, Iju Shaga? Do what you can afford. Don't pass your boundary. Don't try to impress anybody. Live within your means.
Back then, when I was schooling in University of Jos, I was making music with them, Jesse Jack, Ice Prince, and everybody, Jeremiah Gang. You know, I didn't have a laptop. So, and I remember Chopsticks had one laptop that he wasn't using, but he was looking for how to sell it. So he could gather money and go back to school, and, you know. So I told him that, you know, give me this laptop, let me just borrow it. And before the next day, I zoomed to Lagos. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but I needed a laptop so bad to get my music going. And I think that's one downtime story that I've actually never told anybody. Things might be difficult, things might look like it's not gonna happen. People might even look at you like you don't know what the hell you're doing, but just as long as you know that you have your particular goal that you're trying to, you know, achieve, just stay focused with it. You know, do whatever seems possible, do whatever it takes to, you know, get to it. Because at the end of the day, winning is all that matters. Winning is all people care about. So make sure you go out there and just win. That's all.
I loved storytelling. Every time I watched a film or every time I was in stage acting, I would come alive, you know. And I sort of like knew that was what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. That was what would bring me fulfillment. But the reality was I was a third-year student in a University of Technology studying chemical engineering. So I decided to quit. I decided to drop out of school. It was a struggle. No one wanted to listen to me. My family thought I was going crazy. Someone, you know, my older brother thought I was smoking something. You know, but yeah, but I tried to convince them and no one listened to me. So what I did was to try and finish. So I went back to school, finished my engineering course, and by then I had almost forgot my dream to be in entertainment. So what happened was I served got into an engineering firm, oil and gas, and I became an engineer, going offshore, going to the field. But, the dream started to come alive again. I'd watch movies, I'd get invited to on set by my friends, and, that spark started to burn again. I started to see myself doing things, acting films, telling stories, and I couldn't sleep at night. I would dream and imagine myself in the entertainment world, and I'd come alive. So I decided I'd quit my job. And I walked back to my seat. I said goodbye to oil and gas and engineering, and I focused and faced entertainment, and that's how I got to where I am today.
To be honest, I don't want to give anybody like a hope like it's some easy thing to do, but rest, man. Okay, firstly, when you rest, then you pray, and that's real, man. It's not because I'm not even a churchgoer or anything, but this is real. It's because there's a power that's beyond you that works for you if you accept it or decide to go in that direction. So, for me, what works for me, what has worked for me, Buju, Daniel Benson, is I'll just kneel down and I'll tell God, like, this is what's popping and I want him to change it. Before I went into music, to be honest, like, in church, my mom forced me to church. So I go down on my knees and I tell God I want to go into music because I don't know what I'm doing in my life. And I started making music. I was in 300 level IT, I was working. They were making me carry files from places to places. And I was studying computer science technology in codes. And I'm like, this is not making any sense. Then going back to school and knowing I can't make music while being in school because of the hustle and bustle and everything. So I leave school and I take that decision upon myself to become something with my gift, because the Bible says your gift will make room for you. So it works, man. If there's anything you want to take from that, you can take that, but that's what works for you, my G.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
It's a nation forged from the ruins of a fallen empire. A once poor country that in the early 2000s rose to become an economic success story. And whose leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, inspired hope.
He came to power saying he respected democracy.
Yet during his nearly 2-decade rule, Erdogan has repeatedly attacked one of democracy's bedrock principles: freedom of the press.
So we started to see a crackdown on media.
It's resulted in fines, arrests, trials, and imprisonment for journalists who question the government.
There's no space for freedom of expression and free media in Turkey.
Many of Turkey's citizens have seen their lives changed during Erdogan's years in power. Their views reveal a highly polarized nation, divided by belief, by politics, and ethnicity. A nation where the mainstream media is controlled by the government, where dissent is suppressed, and democracy is under siege. November 3rd, 2002, Ankara, Turkey. Outside the Justice and Development Party headquarters, a crowd celebrates a stunning landslide victory in Turkey's national election. The party, known as the AKP, is the first with Islamist roots to win full control of the government in the nation's history. Its leader, a charismatic 48-year-old former mayor of Istanbul, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. His victory speech brims with confidence.
demokrasinin daha sağlıklı çalışması için oy verdiniz. Sizler yönetemeyen bir demokrasiden yöneten bir demokrasiye geçiş için oy verdiniz.
Erdogan had formed the AKP only a year earlier. But Turkey's voters were ready for change.
Erdogan's election victory in 2002 followed a decade of immense political and economic instability in Turkey. The country suffered from triple-digit inflation in the 1990s, as well as cases of corruption that were aired out by the country's free press at the time. So the electorate was sick and tired of what looked like unending political crises, economic crises, and Erdogan's victory promised to bring in a breath of fresh air.
Erdogan's AKP platform proposed a series of democratic reforms, among them pledging to ease up on the news media, which had long been subject to government censorship. Turkey seemed poised for a new era.
There really was a lot of optimism in terms of issues that could be talked about, of what could be discussed on television, in the news, on the radio, even in the streets.
The AKP victory was especially welcomed in Kasimpasa, the working-class neighborhood in Istanbul where Erdogan grew up. It was then, and still is, an enclave where immigrants and conservative Turks from poor rural areas settle, hoping to find work and build a better life. For many here, that life centers around their Muslim faith. Among them, 90-year-old hotel owner Ismail Demircan, on his way to the local mosque where he worships, as he's done 5 times a day for over 30 years. Beneath the dome of the mosque, in the direction of Mecca, Ismail prays, steadfast in his commitment to his God, his country, and his president. Kasimpasa is also home to Ismail's daughter, Mehtap, who's 50 years old, married, with 3 grown daughters of her own. She handles the daily management of her father's hotel. Nearly 2 decades later, she remembers what election night 2002 meant for pious Muslims.
Bu bizim için Tayyip Erdoğan'ın zaferi oldu, bizim zaferimiz oldu. Çok şükür. Gerçekten hakiki demokrasi şimdi bugünümüz şartlarıyla demokrasi gerçekten var şimdi. Ama daha evvelden yoktu.
The Turkish Republic was born in 1923, following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. Its founder, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, created a European-style state that excluded Islam and all religion from government. Secularism became Turkey's modern faith. Devout Muslims felt left behind. For decades, they lived as second-class citizens, often viewed as backward or even fanatical by their secularist countrymen. During the 1980s, women wearing the hijab, a headscarf expressing their faith, were banned from schools, government buildings, and college campuses. 18-year-old Mehtap was one of them.
Ben gençliğimde okuyamadım. Adam mini etekli girerken ben başörtüyle zararsız bir şekilde giremiyordum. Yo, böyle olmaz. Keşke diyorum mücahit olup savaşsaydım başörtü hakkında, okusaydım.
Without a college degree, Mehtap had few career options. She went to work at her father's hotel.
Mütasip mesela bir aileyiz. Çok güzel, alkolsüz, insanlara hizmet veren, dini yapıdan mütasip bir otel olarak gayet güzel, şimdiye kadar hiçbir sorun olmadı.
Kararlılıkla hayata geçireceğiz.
To Mehtap and her father, Erdogan is more than a boy from Kasimpasa who made good. He's an old family friend.
Tayyip abi babam küçüklüğünden beri tanır. O zaman da bir farklılık vardı diyor. Babamın işte sürekli Tayyip Bey'in gerçek bir lider. Adam dediğin duruşuyla, konuşmasıyla, hareketiyle belli olur. Adam dünyaya res çekti diyor mesela, çok hoşuna gidiyor. Onunla gurur duyuyor. Babam yani diyor ki Atatürk'ten sonra gelmiş geçmiş en büyük lider diyor.
In rising to the country's highest office, the unapologetically religious Erdogan placed Islam at the heart of public life, solidifying his stature among the faithful.
Tayyip Bey geldikten sonra zaten demokrasi geldi. Allah yer gök razı olsun. Gerçekten memnunuz. Her şeyinden memnunuz.
Erdogan's appeal wasn't based solely on religion. During his first term in power, he gave millions of Turks, including the poor and disadvantaged, a bigger slice of the country's economic pie.
He's lifted so many people out of poverty that I think he has therefore created a base of adoring worshippers who simply love him. Turks live much better when compared to the pre-Erdogan years.
And they expressed their gratitude at the ballot box. Voters rewarded Erdogan's AKP with national election victories in 2007 and then again in 2011. Western observers began to see Turkey as a democratic model for the Muslim world. But during this era of prosperity, Erdogan had begun chipping away at one of democracy's key pillars, freedom of the press. In 2004, a caricature set him off. Political cartoonist Musa Kart drew Erdogan as a cat entangled in a ball of wool. Erdogan sued Kart and the newspaper that printed the cartoon. The court ruled in Erdogan's favor and fined the cartoonist for publicly humiliating the prime minister. The decision was later reversed by Turkey's Supreme Court. But it would not be the last time a cartoonist and Erdogan clashed. Yet to some, it seemed at odds with the politician they thought they knew, since Erdogan himself had famously been persecuted for speaking out. In April 1998, as mayor of Istanbul, he was found guilty of reciting a poem deemed a threat to Turkey's secularist system. The day he began his sentence, hundreds of supporters accompanied him to the prison, where he spent 4 months behind bars, celebrated as a champion of free speech.
When Erdogan went to jail, it was not only that it solidified his base amongst his traditional supporters. I think that it made a lot of people in the population feel sympathetic to him, people who would have not normally been sympathetic to him, even leftists or secularists, because it was just seen as an injustice.
But once in control of the country, Erdogan's AKP went about suppressing dissent.
The government, as it got more entrenched in power, became increasingly intolerant of criticism. So we started to see a crackdown on media.
People from his party were calling editors and just saying, don't do this, don't write this, you know, I hope this isn't going to be your headline tomorrow. There had never been this situation where it was one political party that had so much power that they were able to determine what the press was doing the next day or what they were writing about.
Ece Temelkuran, then a columnist for the newspaper Haberturk, was a casualty of this political pressure. She was fired after criticizing a government ban against reporting the accidental killing by the Turkish Air Force of over 30 Kurdish villagers, many of them children.
So the entire media was silent about the incident for over 24 hours. That made me angry. So I wrote 2 columns about the silence and why the silence was there. And the columns were directed at Mr. Erdogan. And I was the first political columnist fired from her job in the mainstream media because of political reasons. And then on, it happened so fast. The entire media was silenced.
The media silence would later grow deafening. Away from Turkey's urban centers, in the country's rural areas, religious beliefs and conservative values hold sway. Mehmet Çelik lives in the village of Karubuşa, 260 miles southwest of Istanbul. The region's known for its olive groves and the olive oil that's made Turkey one of the top 5 producers in the world. Mehmet sees farming as his life's work.
Ben çiftçi olmak için doğmuşum diyebilirim. Zor bir mücadele. Tecrübeyle öğrenilen bir mücadele. Bunun herhangi bir okulu veya kısa yolu yok.
For many in the region, farming is a family affair. Mehmet's father, Mustafa, is in his late 50s and often helps his son in the fields. Mehmet is 34, married with a 2-year-old daughter. He's been an AKP supporter since his teens. The party's agricultural policies provide loans and subsidies to help farmers like him boost production and increase their income.
Çiftçi tarımda desteklenmeli. Bu açıdan bizim için önemli. Tarlaların, zeytinliklerin sürüm sırasında bize mazot desteği veriliyor. Tarlaların ekim sırasında gübre desteği veriliyor.
According to Mehmet, government programs during the 1990s, prior to the AKP taking power, were not much help to farmers.
90'lı yılları çok iyi biliriz. Lakin yüzü astarını geçiyordu. Verilen paraya dosya yaptırması bir dert. Onun prosedürünü yerine getirmesi çok zordu. Çok fazla yerden onayla alman gerekiyordu. Ve verilen para bu uğraşmaya değer miydi?
Altogether, the Çelik family owns 98 acres of land, devoting about 24 acres to growing a variety of crops.
O tatil, pazar, cuma bilmez. Hastalık bilmez. Bayram ve izin günü bilmez. İzni olmayan tek meslek.
In late summer, Mehmet works with his father harvesting corn to produce silage or feed for his dairy cows. He bought his harvester with the help of an AKP government loan program.
Dışarıdan başka bir arkadaşım makinesini kiralayarak yaptırıyordum. Sonra gittim bankaya başvurdum ve bana banka bu makineyi alabileceğimi ve çok cüzi miktarlarda taksitlerle 5 sene içinde ödeyebileceğimi söyledi. Ve 5 yılın sonunda makine cebime kalıyor.
Though he's far from the center of power, Mehmet keeps a close watch on Turkish politics.
Ben genelde hep karşıt kanalları izlemeyi seviyorum. Açıkçası çünkü karşındakinin ne düşündüğünü onun gözüyle bakman lazım. Yalnız bu karşıtlık derken bunun düzeyli ve seviyeli olması gerekir. Bu karşıtlık itibarsızlaştırma çabalarına girmemesi gerekir.
He says freedom of the press is fine in principle, but insists there are limits to what journalists can write or say.
Basın özgürlüğü deyip ülkenin liderini de itibarsızlaştırmamak gerekiyor. Herhangi bir terörist vesaire suçlu ülkenin milli güvenliğine tehdit unsuruysa bu çabalar, itibarsızlaştırma çabaları, algı yaratma vesaire tarzı şeyler de bence gayet suçtur. Türkiye'de işte basın deyip istediğini yapacağın anlamına gelmiyor.
Since its first term in power, the AKP government has aimed to stifle reporting it sees as negative or critical. But it doesn't just target individual journalists. When the opposition newspaper, Hürriyet, reported on an AKP corruption scandal, the government retaliated, fining the paper's owners, Doğan Media, $2.5 billion for supposed tax evasion. Nearly bankrupted, the company had to sell 2 papers to an Erdogan ally.
So the tax investigations against Doğan Group really sent a signal that you shouldn't cross us, really, and that there would be new red lines that they would enforce.
Erdogan had punished one disloyal media outlet. But that was just the beginning. Later, he would prove his domination of the entire mainstream press. Şevket Şahintaş has been driving a cab in the streets of Istanbul for more than 30 years, often working the night shift. But no matter the hour, he finds his passengers are eager to talk politics.
Genelde hangi partili ve ekonominin durumunu nasıl buluyorsun? Eğer AK Parti seçmeni ise ülkenin iyi olduğunu anlatmaya çalışıyor bana. CHP seçmeni ise aslında eskiden her şeyin daha iyi olduğunu, işte ülkenin iyiye gitmediğini anlatmaya çalışır.
Şevket has long had doubts about Erdogan and the AKP.
Erdoğan'ı hiçbir zaman desteklemedim. 2002'de geldiklerinde gerçekten üzülmüştüm. Çünkü din söylemiyle gelen bir partinin bir ülkeyi daha iyi hale getirebileceğine asla inanmadım. Hala da inanmıyorum.
His skepticism peaked in May 2013. That's when a government plan to build a shopping mall in Istanbul's popular Gezi Park drew a small group of protesters that grew and grew.
They were, people from opposite factions of politics. The most colorful, carnivalesque protest you could ever see. And they wanted to tell the political power that they are not going to be enemies to each other, saying that we want to keep our solidarity. We don't want to give in to the polarization that is forced upon us by this political power.
An amateur photographer, Şevket was drawn to what was unfolding at Gezi Park. He took a week off work to document it.
Sesinin çıkmadığını düşünen bir kitle, kendisini vatandaş gibi görmediğini düşündüğü bir insana ben de varım eylemiydi belki de.
A tense calm prevailed for 2 days at the park. And then came the government's response.
The police cracked down viciously on the peaceful protesters. So they torched their tents, they beat them. Images are taken on camera phones, they're spread through the internet very quickly, and within a few days, you have uprisings in 80 out of 81 provinces in Turkey. What Erdogan sees this as, rightly so, is the first real challenge against his power.
Fearing government reprisals, many television news outlets continued with their regular daily programming instead of covering the protests live.
It was a striking experience. In some cases, be able to look out your window and see people protesting, maybe in some cases to see police firing tear gas canisters down the street. And your biggest news channel was showing a nature documentary.
Gezi olayları gösterilmemesini isteyen haliyle hükümetti ve göstermeyen basında onların her dediğini yaptığını böyle ispat etmiş oldu bence. Biz de galiba o olaylardan sonra o ana akım medyayı görmemeye başladık.
During the unrest, protesters turned to social media to share news. Şevket kept his camera focused on the turmoil.
Gezi eylemleri ilk başladığında o kadar ciddi, büyüyecek bir eylem olduğunu ben düşünmemiştim. Ama bu çok ciddi bir halk hareketine dönüştü.
The Gezi Park protests marked the birth of a grassroots anti-AKP movement defending the right to free expression.
Gezi Parkı benim için gerçekten çok önemliydi. Benim gibi düşünen bir sürü insan olduğunu görmek, hayata benim gibi bakan bir sürü insan olduğunu görmek beni çok mutlu etmişti. Artık daha fazla dinleneceğimizi, bundan sonra her şeyin eskisi gibi olmayacağını düşündüm ve çok da umut ettiğim kadar da iyi gitmedik.
Since the Gezi Park protest, there has been a very sharp polarization of society under the AKP. There's a sense that you're either with the AKP or you're not.
That polarization has heightened social and political tensions in the country. Since the mid-1980s, the Turkish army has fought the militant Kurdish group PKK, which seeks to establish an independent state in a region that includes southeast Turkey. The conflict has killed over 40,000 civilians and wounded untold numbers more. One opposition newspaper, Özgür Gündem, had for years reported on Kurdish issues, and because of it, was a target of the Erdogan government.
Terör propagandası, işte örgüt gazetesi, işte bölücü gazete, hain gazete, bu tarz argümanlarla çok taşlandı bu gazete. Ama aslında zaten yani yapması gereken şey yapmıştı gazete.
Zozan Butun is a 26-year-old Kurd who grew up reading Özgür Gündem in southeastern Turkey. She now works in an Istanbul bookstore.
Kürtlerin bir sesi yok aslında. Bizim de sesimiz vardı, bizim de acılarımız, bizim de çığlıklarımız vardı, bizim de realitelerimiz vardı ve bu realiteler diğer basınlarda yer almıyordu. Haliyle Özgür Gündem bunlara ses oldu. Kürt basın tarihinde çok önemli bir yere sahip.
Starting on May 3rd, 2016, International Press Freedom Day, Özgür Gündem launched a freedom of expression campaign. Its purpose, to protest the relentless government pressure and defend freedom of the press. More than 50 journalists and activists volunteered to serve as guest editors for a day in support of the newspaper. But soon, the Erdogan government cracked down, investigating and arresting volunteers, jailing some, and accusing them of spreading terrorist propaganda. Protesters denounced the censorship. Trials were set for the fall of 2016. But then came July 15th.
Tonight, we are monitoring that military coup underway in Turkey.
A faction in the military decided Erdogan had to go. The control of Turkey seemed up for grabs.
Burada ilk kez çoluk çocukla birlikte Bodrum'a gitmiştik. Bodrum dönüşünde işte bir anda geceleyin bir anda bir uçak gürültüsüyle aynı Allah'ım dedim ne oluyor dünyanın sonu geldi herhalde.
With his hold on power threatened, Erdogan turned to social media, urging his supporters to take to the streets against the enemy. They did, with a fury. Amid the roar of F-16s overhead and bombs exploding, came haunting sounds issuing from the mosques. A prayer known as a Sela.
It's a certain prayer that we do after death, like, death of someone. That night, calling people to resist a coup through prayers was something completely unprecedented, and it was the clear sign that this country will be more Islamized from this day on.
Within 12 hours, the coup attempt was broken. More than 250 people died. Thousands were injured.
Bu Fethullahçı terör örgütünün attığı adım karşılığını bulmuştur.
Erdogan accused a former political ally of masterminding the attempted coup, and he declared a state of emergency that suspended rights and freedoms, giving him absolute power. The government purged some 130,000 civil servants, professors, lawyers, and police officials. 170 news outlets were shut down. Journalists were accused of terrorism, arrested and detained. Among them were reporters at Cumhuriyet, Turkey's leading opposition newspaper. Charged with aiding a terrorist organization, many spent months in jail awaiting trial. Sketch artists captured the drama in court.
The Cumhuriyet trial as a whole is an entirely bogus and outrageous trial where journalists for this liberal secularist newspaper were basically described as terrorists. And the sentences they got were all about aiding terrorist organizations, but no evidence to support this outrageous charge.
4 years later, the failed coup is history. Yet the Erdogan government continues to police what citizens see, hear, or read. In today's Turkey, online media have become more dominant and influential.
And that's why the last battlegrounds for the government is the internet. And that's why they're keen to control information flow on social media platforms and on the internet.
Türkiye'de ve Türkiye'den daha kötü olan demokrasi olarak ülkelerde internetin çok büyük bir kurtarıcı olduğunu inanıyorum. Gazeteler satın alındı, televizyonlar satın alındı ama internetin sayesinde halk gerçekleri ve kendi okumak istedikleri, takip etmek istedikleri insanları takip edebilme imkanına kavuştular.
The Turkish government has been brazen in restricting digital media, blocking access to sites like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and arresting users, including journalists, for posting comments it alleges are critical or in support of terrorism. No one has been beyond the government's reach, including some well-known figures like Attila Taş.
Every day I'm coming here, I'm giving my fingerprints, and now I'm free for one day. Yeah, that's the free Turkey, man. That's the free Turkey.
A former singer turned popular online personality, Taş has a history of tweeting criticism of the government. After the failed coup, he was arrested and faced over 3 years in prison, charged with aiding a terrorist organization. He spent nearly a year behind bars, awaiting trial.
Hücreye koydular beni tek başıma ve ben 10 gün boyunca o hücrede tek başıma vakit geçirmek zorunda kaldım. Bir ara çıldıracağımı hissettim. Kendi kendimle konuşmaya başladım. Gerçekten çok zor. Yani hapishanede çıldırmak, dellenmek, kafanızı, aklınızı kaybetmek çok kolay. Bu kadar kolay.
Turkey consistently ranks at or near the top among nations that imprison journalists for their reporting. Even some of Erdogan's supporters think the government goes too far.
Neden atısı ya? Günahtır. Neden? O zaman demokrasi olmuyor ki. Tabii ki de eleştirecekler. Eleştirirseler bir şeyler kazanırız. Ama öteki türlü tabii ki de bir gazeteci bir insanın şahsına, özeline giriyorsa tamam. Ama yine de hapis cezasına gerek yok. Günah. Onların da çoluk çocuğu var. Onların da bir yaşamı var.
In Turkey's polarized political climate, threats of any kind are not to be ignored.
İyi akşamlar. Ben Fatih Portakal. Türkiye'nin en farklı ana haber bültenine hoş geldiniz sevgili izleyenler. Bugün
Fatih Portakal knows this all too well. For years, he's anchored a highly rated daily news show on Fox Haber TV. His commentaries draw viewers from across the political spectrum.
Gerçekleri söylediğine inandığım için takip ediyorum. Parti karşıtı, AK Parti işte düşmanı falan olduğunu düşünmüyorum. Gerçekleri söylüyor ve ben onun gerçekleri söylediğine büyük bir yüreklilikle söylediğine inanıyorum.
Benim yaptığım burada diğer ana haber bültenlerinden farklı olarak ben konuşuyorum. Benim yaptığım bu. İnsanlar belki de bu hoşlarına gidiyor. Yani çok fazla konuşan bir insanın olmadığı, çok fazla yazan insan olmadığı bir ülkede ben bu insanların belki de duygularına tercümanlık yapıyorum.
Portakal's opinions have put him in the crosshairs of Turkey's most powerful man. At a 2018 rally, Erdogan aimed a thinly disguised threat at Portakal, whose last name means orange in Turkish.
Birileri çıkmış. portakal mıdır, mandalina mıdır, narenciye midir, nedir? Sokağa çağırıyor. Sokağa çağırıyor. Haddini bil, haddini. Bilmezsen haddini, bu millet patlatır enseni.
Erdogan's threat worked.
Onu izleyen 1,5-2 aylık süreç içerisinde tamamen bir fanus hayatı yaşadım. İş, ev, ev, iş. Çünkü toplumun veya bireyin nasıl refleks vereceğini bilemiyorsunuz, kestiremiyorsunuz artık. Yani çılgınca bir hareket yapabilir, belki hiçbir şey yapmayabilir. Sadece kendinizi biraz daha koruma altına alıyorsunuz.
Yapması gereken aslında oydu ve onu yaptı.
But not all journalists have a large audience, like protocols to protect them. Before she worked in a bookstore, Zozan Butun reported on politics for an internet news company. In 2017, she was arrested in a government raid and jailed for a week without being told of the charges against her.
Zor bir süreçti aslında. Alan küçücük bir alan var, rahatsız yataklar var. Zaten yaz ayı olduğu için çok sıcaktı. Yatağa yatıyordunuz, kalktığınız zaman yatak işte sırt bölgeniz, kolunuz o yatağa yapışmış bir şekilde kalkıyordu ve çektiğiniz an zaten vücut yanmaya başlıyordu. Şöyle ufak ufak kızarıklıklar oluyordu.
Zozan endured her time in jail by singing Kurdish folk songs. Authorities ultimately charged her with spreading terrorist propaganda without supplying evidence of her having ties to a terrorist group. It led her to make a difficult decision.
Şimdi şunu fark ettim. Hiçbir şey yapmamama rağmen gözaltına alınıp 7 gün kaldıysam, eğer ben bir şey yaparsam bayağı cezaevi yatacağımın farkındaydım. Bu ülkede gazeteciliğin yapılamayacağını anladım. Yapılsa bile belli başlı noktalarda taraf tutmam gerektiğini de farkındaydım. Bu tarafı da ben kabul etmek istemedim ve gazetecilik yapmamaya karar verdim.
Today, Zozan's building a career as a singer of traditional Kurdish songs. Her way of keeping the culture alive. She performs in local clubs and has a large social media following, including many outside Turkey.
Çünkü ben müziğin her zaman birleştirici ve iyileştirici olma yönüne inandım. Kendimi çok rahat bir şekilde, en net ve dokunaklı bir şekilde anlattığım tek alan aslında müzik.
Yet while Zozan's free to sing, she's still confined. 3 years after her arrest, the court has not decided her case. She's banned from leaving the country, keeping her from accepting offers to perform in Europe.
Bu benim çok zoruma gitmişti zaten. Ve bir şey oluyor, gidemiyorsun. Sadece ülke sınırları içerisinde dolaştırılan bir açık cezaevi gibi düşünüyorum. Bu da aslında kısmi esaret oluyor. Evet, bu Türkiye'den, işte İstanbul'dan Van'a gidebiliyorum veya İstanbul'dan başka bir şehre gidebiliyorum ama Türkiye'den çıkıp bambaşka bir ülkeye gidemiyorum. Biraz böyle aslında bir zincir var, o zincir sadece ülke sınırları içerisine kadar genişletilmiş. Onun dışına gittiğin zaman o oradan seni tutup çekiyor. Gel sen buraya, gidemezsin.
Zozan's future is in limbo, just like Ece Temelkuran's. After being fired from her job at Haberturk for criticizing Erdogan, Ece remained in Turkey. But during the 2016 post-coup purges, she left, choosing self-exile in Croatia to the constant fear of living in Istanbul.
When I came to Zagreb, I made a decision to freeze my emotions because losing a home is like nothing else. It disorients you in a way.
Away from family and friends, locked outside of Turkey, Ece's life is a mirror image of Zozan's.
Oppressive regimes imprison you in several ways. They imprison some people and they cannot, go out of the actual prison. But then they create another bigger prison in the country that you cannot leave the country. And I am kind of imprisoned outside Turkey and I cannot go back to my home country.
Turkey's media landscape grows increasingly dark. Some journalists have fled to the internet and social media, the last open spaces for public debate and free speech. But the digital realm may not be a haven for long. The Erdogan government has tightened internet censorship, passing a new law that controls social media with fines and the removal of content it considers offensive. It also requires social media companies to maintain offices and store user data inside Turkey, which raises privacy concerns. The scope of the law is unprecedented.
Everyone knows about the struggle for freedom of expression and free media in Turkey, but the magnitude of the problems we have here is not known by many. Over 243,000 websites are currently blocked from Turkey, and over 150,000 news articles or URL addresses are currently blocked. Over 12,000 blocking decisions are issued every year, and over 1,500 Twitter accounts are blocked from Turkey. This is the country we live in.
What's to become of a nation whose government prosecutes those who speak out? Those who ask questions and refuse to remain silent. Press freedom is enshrined in Turkey's constitution, though there have always been limits. In the nation's history, civil and military leaders have exploited those limits, punishing journalists for allegedly endangering national security or for supporting terrorism. The Erdogan government has taken it to the extreme, seeking to curtail free speech and outlaw opposing views. Now the question is not only whether freedom of the press will survive in Turkey, but whether the country's democracy itself will survive.
My name is Adejokela Sisi. I'm the founder and creative director of Planet 3R. At Planet 3R, we convert textile and plastic waste into eco-friendly products. The motivation actually came from a rural community in Ibadan here. Whenever it rains, the whole place, people will not be able to go inside the community. If it rains overnight, people will not be able to go to school, they will not be able to go to work. Anytime the water now goes away, you now realize a lot of waste. And I was like, this is actually the root cause of this problem, improper waste management system. Then I look at it that, what can we do to solve this problem? And that was how I started using the weaving skill that I've acquired from my mom since I was 9 years old. Then I started using it to like weave those waste to now make sure that we now convert them into beautiful items like bags, shoes, even clothing. I actually participated at Womenpreneur Season 3, that was 2021. One of the things I really gained at that time was business development. You know, it's not just about the talent now or having to know how to convert the waste or having the idea, but to be able to put it into a successful business. I really appreciate what Access Bank is doing for entrepreneurs. Let us now say women now, because most of the time women don't really have much of these advantages. I love the fact that there's an initiative for women. I want to encourage you to make sure that you go and apply honestly. Your life will not remain the same again.
I left Nigeria back as far as 2012, and it was a very funny story. As you can see from my social media pages, my best food is amala. So I worked after work. I'm a medical doctor, full-time doctor. After work, I went to this famous place in Oshogbo where they have amala, just next to my hospital. So while I was there, I sat down with the food, and then I saw this newspaper advert saying doctors needed urgently in Saudi Arabia. So I abandoned my plate of amala. The rewards were just amazing, and I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, free accommodation, free flights. I was earning, you know, I was going to earn like times 20, you know, of what I earned at the time, in dollars as well. So I packed my bags, went home, packed my bags off to Lagos. I was at Ikeja for the interview. Like immediately? Immediately, I left the amala, went home, packed my bags, and off I went to Lagos. The next day I went for the interview, did the interview. There were loads and loads of people there. Did the interview and got picked, and I was on my way to Saudi Arabia. So from Nigeria, I worked in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, and then I walked around the Middle East, Dubai, Oman, Bahrain. And from there, while I was working, I was writing my exams to work in the UK and the Republic of Ireland. So from there, I got a lecturing position in the UK, and then I was able to pass my exams within that time. So I got my licenses to be able to practice in Europe. So at the moment, I can practice in Europe, I can practice in New Zealand, I can practice in the Middle East, and of course in Nigeria as well. So my journey hasn't been straightforward. My journey has been from Nigeria, scattered around the Middle East, and then Europe. The first culture shock I faced was I landed on a Thursday and obviously Friday, but it didn't click that Friday was a day to be respected in the Middle East, in the Muslim society. So I got up, was looking for food. I got out of my house, and after walking for like 5 minutes, it still didn't click that I was the only one in the environment, okay? So after walking about, say, 500 meters, I suddenly saw a car just drove in front of me and blocked me, and then I saw all these guys in beards just came, and of course I didn't. So the guy just came and said, "What are you doing out here? It's Friday. You're supposed to be praying." I'm like, I paused, and then he says, "Okay, are you a Muslim or a Christian?" "Yeah, are you a Muslim or a Christian?" I swear I didn't know whether to say Muslim or Christian because I didn't know what was going to happen. If you say Christian and they start flogging you, if you say Muslim, why are you not in the mosque? So I paused, and the guy said, "Bring out your Ikama." I showed him my Ikama, which is like a resident permit. That shows your religion, so it shows it shows I'm a Christian. And then he said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "I just got into Saudi yesterday. I don't know what's going on." Then he said, "Well, today's Friday, Jumat. You have to be praying. If you're not praying, you respect it. Stay in your house between this period." So I said, "Okay." He said, "Everywhere is closed. You can't even get food." So I said, "I'm sorry. I will walk back right now." And then another one that was amazing, even though I was a doctor, I couldn't speak to female patients. So if a man comes in with a woman and the woman is the one with the problem, you cannot talk face to face to her. You cannot ask her. You have to ask the husband, say, "Okay, why have you brought this woman here?" And then the husband would. So my first experience, I spoke to this woman who had a breast lump, and I was talking. The husband was just looking at me. So when I finished, he was answering me. And when I finished, the guy just lost it. "How can you be talking to my wife?" I was like, I'm not toasting your wife, guy. You know, calm down. So the medical director had to give me an education, you know, yeah. So we were able to just placate the guy at that time. So that was one culture shock for me as well. I've traveled a lot of countries. I've seen 50 different countries now. I would say that in Europe, okay, so some very interesting ones. When I got to Europe, I was in my house, just sitting on my own, and friends said, "Come on, there's this birthday party happening, let's go and eat." I said, "Birthday party? Oh yeah, let's go now, where's the venue?" So I went to the venue, we ate, we ordered, ate everything, finished. birthday party, at the end of the day, the celebrant came and said, this is the bill. And in my head, I'm thinking, bill for what? I should pay that you invite. I was in my house. I was in my house. You invited me. I came to it. Now I have to pay the bill. So that was one. The second one was, of course, driving. In Nigeria, you're on the left side, but in the UK, you're on the right side. So that was another culture shock for me in Europe. Okay. It's important to state that I always talk about the way to live legally within the legal bounds without violating any international laws, which is opposed to what people do, most people do. And if you notice very well, people live, you know, it's upward movement. You're living from poorer countries to rich countries. And interestingly, it's not as if the people who leave their countries illegally, generally speaking now, are not the poorest of the poorest when you put the standard of their country into context. They're not the poorest of the poorest. But because they're looking for better opportunities, they're looking for a place where they will get, you know, larger finances, a better standard of living, education, good access to health. That's why they're leaving. So they don't care how they do it. So long as the promises, you know, they've been given good promises, then they just take that pathway. I always use my social media handles on Instagram, on YouTube, Waka Waka Doctor, to tell people of the legal ways. And the reason why people most times don't want to follow this pathway is because I would say it's inherent laziness, because you have to do the work. You know, this illegal pathway, they're possibly going to say, pay this amount of money, we will just move you across the border. But they don't consider the consequences that come with it. This way that I preach involves a lot of, you know, work. You have to do a lot of work. So it means that you have to do research, you have to make applications, you have to pay little amount of fees, and then get the end result. So if you're not open to working, I give tips, I point you towards the right direction, but if you're not open to working, then it becomes a difficult task for you. So the easiest way is to keep educating ourselves. We keep educating these people and passing the information across. And I mean, this is one thing I'm doing now, and it's one thing I've been doing for the last 18 months, using Instagram, Twitter, YouTube to pass the information across. If someone comes to you to say, okay, I'm going to take you to Europe, you're a cake baker, I'm going to get you scholarship, there are documents you want to see. There are documents you want to see. You have your original passport. Have you submitted a statement of motivation or a letter of intent? Do you have a visa? Have you submitted documents to help you get an original visa? Do you have a work permit? Have you seen an original work permit? Have you called your employers over there to confirm that I have a real job and I'm coming to resume? So that again brings me to my first point, that people are mentally lazy. They don't want to do the work. Because when someone gives you documents and say, oh, this is your document, we're going abroad, you should say, give it to me. Let me confirm if it's real. Let me confirm if it's original. If it's a work permit, I'm going to call my employers to see if this job is real. If it's a school admission, I'm going to ring up the school to find out if it's real. I told you behind the cameras, I said, people have this mentality that, you know, things work outside just the way it works in this country. It's wrong. If you pick up the phone and call an admissions office, they will talk to you. If you pick up the phone and call an employer, they will talk to you, just looking for information. And if the information is real, they definitely get it. So, like I said, the first way to help with spread of information and help curb this is spread of information, educating people. And that's what I've been doing for the last 18 months using my social media platforms. Nothing good comes extremely easy, okay? You have to be patient. I tweet sometimes, I say that, I say, when you travel abroad, your life changes, you know, your skin becomes fresh, your smile is different, okay? There's peace of mind, you know, things come to you easily. You can actually actualize your dreams. You can live out your dreams right in front of you because there's a system that supports that. So my advice is when you go abroad, be patient, keep working hard, don't stop, don't relax, you know, have a vision, write it down, allow your eyes see that vision, you know, consume it and continue to work towards it. It's simply as basic as that. That would be my advice. Save, and always call home, because one of the downsides to going abroad is that it can be boring sometimes. And that's why you should call friends. Don't cut people off. Call friends. You know, always call home if you miss home. Like, I'm home now because I missed Amala. I missed all those things, so I came home. So yeah, that's my advice. Keep working. Keep your head down. Of course, keep your connections back home so that you can always come back to them. This is a huge subject. It's a huge subject, and it's not something I can share in 1-2 minutes. So I'm going to say that the first thing you want to do is open an Instagram account if you don't have an Instagram account, and look for me, Waka Waka Doctor, because I give tips. Now, there are job boards across Europe, across Asia. You cannot streamline your choices and say that, oh, I just want to be in Canada. I just want to go to the US. I just want to go to the UK. There are 195 different countries in the world. So you have to say that I'm open to any one of them. And most of these countries have job boards, okay? Websites, different websites where you can submit your applications. You go through rigorous interviews. You submit documents. If you then succeed, they are able to process your work permits and employ you. Now, some people will say, oh, I've tried the UK, it didn't work out, so they give up. But there are different countries in the world. There's Turkey, there's Lithuania, there's Kazakhstan. I know teachers that I've spoken to, in fact, 6-7 of them in the last 4-5 months who have left Nigeria to Kazakhstan, right? They teach English. They earn at least $1,800 in Kazakhstan, which is much more than what they will earn in Nigeria. So there are 195 countries. I post them, I mean, almost every day on my Instagram channel. So you can watch and see some of these job boards and apply for jobs. Some basic truths and facts is not every doctor can leave the country. So even if doctors are leaving, more doctors would graduate and you still have doctors around. But doctors are leaving in their large numbers every day. So the future of medicine in Nigeria is very bleak, because you have the extremely intelligent doctors leaving, going abroad, because the system abroad is extremely encouraging. The system abroad gives you opportunities to become greater than what you can ever think or imagine. People keep writing their exams, people keep going for interviews because the system allows it. So the advice straight up I'll give to the Nigerian government is, first and foremost, create a platform that encourages us as doctors. Facilities, give us things we can, it's not as if, you know, things we only see in the books, things we can see and work with. Pay us money. I worked in Osun State. My salary in 2011 was 90,000 naira. I was doing 2 jobs and I couldn't earn 120,000 naira, 2 jobs. When I went to Saudi Arabia, salary was $5,000. Look at the discrepancy, it's too huge. And they were owing us 6 months. You owe someone 6 months. How can, I was seeing 200 patients in a day. 200 patients. How, I mean, the first 10 patients I see would get the best out of me. The other ones, the truth, it's just the truth. The other ones would be people, that's it. It doesn't work that way. Create a good culture, a good environment for doctors to work. Pay them properly. You know, give them, you know, standard remuneration that they can compare with their friends and colleagues abroad and say, okay, yes, we you know, it's commensurate to the work we do. Nigerian government really has to improve. The future of Nigerian doctors, sadly enough, is abroad, and countries are asking for them. Like, the PLAB exam is an incredibly easy exam to just write and pass. So people are writing it and moving, you know. So
If Nigeria cannot improve these parts, payments, facilities, then it's a poor tale. I would end on this note to say that this is a popular theme that I've always passed across, to say that travel is not necessary of money, but of courage. And the reason is because it takes courage to decide to leave a place you've been for many years and go to a place that's brand new. You're going to be leaving your friends, you're going to be leaving your family, you're going to be leaving your job, you're going to be in search of ways to make money, search of better career. So it's often very difficult. The first step is the most difficult one, the most daunting one, saying, I want to move. It's very difficult. But I would always encourage you to take that step. When you start, you will get to the end. Don't wait, start now. It's another year, it's 2022. My aim is to get at least 2,000 people abroad. So if we can do that, we've succeeded. Okay? There are better opportunities out there. If you're attaining this level right now in Nigeria, if you go abroad, you'll be times 20. That's it. So start now, make the move. If you're in town, if you catch me in any of the cities abroad, you can holler at me and I'll be there. Traveling abroad, migrating abroad is not age.
Sometimes it's not just the distance we travel, it's the gaps we close. It's not the things we buy, it's the memories we create. Sometimes it's beyond the places we go, it's the connections we make. Not just the things we taste, it's the taste of things to come. And it's never a question of if, but when. Because life is always just a bit better with American Express. Introducing the Access Bank American Express Gold Card and the Metal Platinum Card, now available through Access Bank.
Hello, you're welcome to this edition of Timeless Conversations. For me, it's a privilege to be in the presence of my guest. He is an icon in engineering and broadcasting and public service in Nigeria. Pioneer, Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority.
Engineer Vincent Maduka, also named Ifeanyi Chukwu, which means glory to God, was born in the Ekpetado area of Lagos on the 5th of October 1935. He is from Delta State. He attended the Lagos Government School and won a full scholarship to King's College Lagos in 1949. He graduated with a BSc Honours in Electrical Engineering from the University of Leeds, England in 1959, and also received the MENG-SC degree in Applied Acoustics from the University College of Dublin, UCD, Ireland, in 1969. He undertook a graduate apprenticeship with the renowned radio company Marconi Co. Limited in the UK and joined the Western Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, Ibadan, as a broadcast engineer in 1961. He spent a short time at the Irish National Television Organisation, Dublin, in 1968 to 1969, and on return to Ibadan in 1969, he was promoted Chief Engineer. He was appointed General Manager, Chief Executive Officer there in 1973.
Welcome to this program, sir, Engineer Vincent Maduka.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for granting us some time of your very busy schedule.
Oh.
I put busy in parentheses. You have had a wonderful career, an illustrious career, premised on your study of engineering. What motivated you to study engineering?
Right. Well, the easiest answer would be that I enjoyed physics, chemistry, and mathematics. All right. But I also enjoyed English literature. It was European history I was taught, which I enjoyed. But more importantly, to answer your question, was that if I undertook engineering at degree level, I would get a scholarship.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. That was one. Two, there was no engineering school in Nigeria that awarded a degree.
At that time.
So I would go abroad to study.
Mm-hmm.
And these were two great attractions. And three, there was a job waiting.
Oh, there was a job waiting once you
yes.
finished.
Because in fact, our career master at school went through the government gazette with us because for graduates, the employment was almost clearly going to be in the public service.
Okay.
The private sector at that time couldn't afford to hire university graduates. So some very bright ones, people who went into the private sector, even left at intermediate, taken out of the university, are attracted by good pay and a car, and they left. But generally, if you had a degree, you were going to work in the public sector, by and large, unless you're going to get a job in the public sector. In my time, you were going to go abroad to learn it, and with a scholarship.
And so when you returned home after your studies, there was a job waiting for you?
More than that.
Oh.
I was finishing a 2-year mandatory apprenticeship. In fact, with Makuni, a foremost radio company.
The company, yes.
Exactly. And at the end of 2 years, I was considering an offer from them or any other electronic company in the UK. And then a letter comes to me saying, I am a Western Region scholar. I am bonded to work for the Western Region for 5 months, for 5 years.
For 5 years.
I must come and take a job in October 1961.
So no choice.
I had no choice.
So you had to come.
So I had to come. The pay in Nigeria was much higher than anything I was being offered.
Are you?
Pound for pound. And it was, you were an oppressor in Nigeria with that pay. Even with the UK pay, I would be an oppressor in Nigeria, not to mention a pay that was 50% higher in Nigeria
than the UK pay. Oh, so the motivation was there for you to come back?
Motivation was there for me to come back, clearly, yes. When I came back, this is to make the mouth of those who didn't have that advantage water. Yes. I was being offered £600.
Yes.
After 2 years of graduate apprenticeship in the UK. I was being directed to come and take the job, which in the public service was £972 per annum.
That was almost £1,000 then.
More.
Yes.
No. £600. Oh yes, nearly £1,000.
Nearly £1,000.
Yes. Then of course in Nigeria, you had a car loan straight away. I shared a flat with a Ghanaian in Chelmsford, and if I went out to London to work, I couldn't afford a whole flat, I don't think. But anyway, the conditions were far better. But that's also because we were privileged people at that time.
Okay.
I mean, I arrived in Ibadan. Car dealers, brand new cars, I'm not talking of used cars, were sending me catalogs.
Okay.
I had a driver, all within 2-3 months of taking on a new job.
Home and taking up that job.
So, but I had to work for 5 years.
On bond.
On the bond.
Because of the scholarship.
I enjoyed, yes.
Okay, but while serving that bond out, what was your experience like?
It was completely open-ended for me.
Okay.
As long as I remained there, I think my bond would have expired in 1966.
Yes.
By that time, I'd had at least one promotion from 900 or whatever pounds to 1860.
That's like double.
Yes. By 1967, 68.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. By 67.
67.
I think by 67.
That was still within your bond period.
Yeah, period. So the opportunities were very were ample in those days.
Yes.
But as I said, things were different. When I gained admission into my secondary school, only 25 kids were taken in the whole country.
Into King's College?
Yes. It was a national entrance exam. Only 25 who were admitted.
But the population was low then?
Population was low, but not less than, I don't think we were fewer than 40 million, 30 odd million.
Yes.
Yes.
But then these days were in the hundreds of millions.
Well, Lagos today is 20 million.
Yes, or a little above.
Or a little above.
Yes.
Yes. So it was, we were a small minority, highly privileged, because we were moving into the shoes of the colonial officials. There's no reason why anybody would expect that situation to go on.
Forever.
But you would have planned for a proper growth pattern.
Yes, but in the course of your career, you served in the regional and the federal public services.
Yes.
Would you want to share with us any major differences between the two, or were they similar?
Certainly not in my own experience.
Okay.
They were very different, very different.
In what ways?
First, when I started, it was a political system in place.
That as in a civilian system?
It was civilian.
Okay, sir.
Civilian, rather.
Yes.
In 61, I think Akintola was governor of,
was
the premier,
yes.
Premier of the Western region.
Yes.
Because of the problem in the government party at the time, the Action Group,
yes,
in the two factions,
yes,
there was gross instability in the state. Even
within the entire region.
The entire region,
yes.
So rather. And WNTV suffered a lot for it. In my book, I showed how many chairmen, or board chairmen, there were times when a chairman didn't last 90 days before he was replaced, yes.
That's short.
Yes, because given the schism within the party,
yes,
there were shifting alliances.
Yes.
And if you are chairman of a board because you were on this side and
that side loses,
then you're out and another chairman
comes in.
So even the general management was the CEO was invariably from the civil service. And they couldn't run a business, they couldn't run broadcasting anyway. And so it was a very unstable situation until the coup of 1966,
yeah,
when we then had a military governor. all right? And comparatively, I mean, it was far, far better and stable environment in the broadcasting house.
Okay.
When we had Emilio Fajui.
Fajui,
yes. Well, he was killed in no time at all and replaced with Adebayo.
Adebayo, yes.
Yes. Who was a fine gentleman, and we had no difficulties. I'm trying to compare now at that level, because that's where things trickle down from.
Exactly.
You had a governor who he wasn't interfering at all with the running of the station. In fact, I'll make a little joke or issue.
Yes.
He came to do a broadcast once.
Okay.
Beforehand, he had asked for all the questions I was going to ask him.
Yes.
And obviously, between him and the civil servants, they rehearsed the answers. So Yumami was sounding very sharp, and then our bright interviewer, Kunle Adeleke,
yes,
did a follow-up question on what he had just answered, and the man was obviously flustered. So he turned around, his officials were around the street. Yes. He said, "What number is that?" Right. Because I mean, he had all been, and they couldn't see where that question came from. So, but we are afraid that a head will roll after.
I was going to ask.
Nothing happened, nothing.
Oh.
After that, he just went away.
Oh, yes. Nothing was done to the gentleman who flustered him?
Nothing.
Wow. Yeah. And some people
would have taken offense and made trouble. All right, now this was within this region.
Yes.
I then moved to federal.
Yeah, okay.
Even the procedure of getting the job as DG in federal, which I had opposed the takeover of regional TV stations by the federal government. So I was surprised that I was even being considered for the job of DG.
And pioneer at that.
Pioneer DG. I mean, it was a list of my ambitions.
Probably somebody thought, okay, you are opposed to it, come and do it.
There was somebody else they had in mind.
Okay.
At the federal level.
Okay.
Who then turned it down and said, look, I know this chap, give it to him. And because they respected his opinion, they didn't know me, they gave it to me.
Oh, wow.
And within a year, they were beginning to ask whether it was the right decision they took.
Why would you say that, sir?
Because in the West, where I came from, apart from the governor, the military premier and all that, once the military, the civilian premier, once the military came in, remarkably, they didn't care about appearing on TV. Remarkably. But at federal level, they seemed to.
Yes.
And I was not used to
that.
No. And so I got in trouble.
Oh, no. Maybe we'll talk about that trouble soon. Now, you know, the leadership in the public service under the military and the civilians, how would you describe it?
Well, for me, we got on better as broadcasters with military than with civilians.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes. The military, we are not so worried about their own persons. At the time I went over to a federal job, military, it was after the Civil War. Well, during and after the Civil War.
Okay.
I mean, I went to NTA in 1977.
Okay.
And the military war, the Civil War had ended the whole 7 years.
Yes.
All right. The military had been in government since 66.
66, 67, yes.
So they were completely, I mean, it was as if we never have anything but a military system by the time I got to the federal.
Exactly.
Yes. And they were very sensitive about broadcasts and what you said and how you said it, which I didn't have at all as a problem in WNTV.
Okay. In those days that government used to change at...
No, that was civilian.
No, broadcasting house.
Yes.
Like whenever there was a coup.
Yes. Government change.
Yes.
But I really never. There was, all right, 65.
Yes.
Was it 65?
That was the change.
When
in 65, I was just 3 years old.
75. 75.
Yes.
When there was a change, Murichala became...
That was 76.
When was he killed?
No, 76 it was killed. 75
it was. 75.
It was 75, yes. When Gowon went to Addis Ababa and all that,
Yes. And the federal government was a bit nervy, I think.
Yes.
A new governor was sent to the West.
Yes.
And he started a purge system. Because even at federal level, there was a purge of civil servants. And on 4 o'clock radio, the entire family must listen. Because maybe
don't know who is still there. Yes.
So I had a case where I was being removed. I was on training abroad, and I had word that I was being removed. I should come back home. So I said, no. If I come back home to see myself removed, no, they can remove me when I come back home. I know I've been removed. And anyway.
Thank you, sir. We're going to take a break now. My guest is Engineer Vincent Maduka, who will be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's still Timeless Conversations. Engineer Vincent Maduka is my guest. Sir, you refused to come back home. You finished,
I'll finish
the training first.
Yes, I'll come. I mean, when I came back, there was rumor that I had been removed.
But you were not removed.
No. It was an amazing experience for me and everybody. I wasn't the only one that new governor. He was a naval officer. He came and he was just kicking people around. From what I gather, he had friends who told him, because he didn't live even in the West. In the West.
Yes.
When he came, his friends, I think they say, were telling him that man there, he has to go, that one has to go. And he was just going by what his friends were telling him. That's what I was told.
Okay.
So I arrived, and I think the week I arrived, he was replaced.
Oh, no.
And the new governor actually came to WNTV and dragged me to my office. I wasn't in my office when he came. Took me to my office and interviewed me. Asked me, where did you get this? I said, I met it here. What about that? I met it here, my predecessor, and so on. He said, well, they told me that you've been spending the company's money and doing all sorts of things. Not one thing has been changed since I took over in 73. This was 75. 3 years. So he said the idea was that I was to be sacked.
Wow.
And he thought he better chat with this man first. That's how my job was saved. Now, the more usual thing was that you were sacked, and that was it. 4 o'clock news in those days, you were told that you heard that you have been sacked.
And that's it.
And that was it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think I was lucky there. Then I went to Federal, and I was also told by that the head of state was about to sack me because they were not sure I was loyal to the federal government. The kind of broadcasts we were making news, we were not behaving as if we belonged to the federal government. I said, you own us, but we are running things for you. When eventually I was summoned by the head of state, say, I want to sack you. These were the things I'm told you've done. So I was given a chance, and that was sheer luck, because they could have sacked you, and there was nothing you could do about it. And they sacked many people.
So quite a lot of mistakes were made during that period.
Yes, it was highly personalized.
Yeah, but in terms of functions, there was not much intrusion into your day-to-day running?
You knew how to behave, and if you didn't behave like that,
you knew what to
you might be in trouble. And I was summoned by the head of state, who said to me that he was on the point of sacking me. Then he just thought, why not talk to him?
Okay.
He said I was not patriotic enough, because I was not singing the praise of Nigeria. I'm not a journalist, but I told the journalist, I said, you can't write like that. How does it sound to you? Then the one that said that I was not a patriotic Nigerian. There were a number of things he said.
And they're all in your book.
And
You call the book Real Life.
Yes.
Real Life.
Yes.
Real, I believe, is from the reel to reel of those.
Exactly.
Those days. So
Yes.
it's like it's a catalogue of what happened during your career.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Of my career managing
Yes.
2 public service television organizations.
Yes. And that was quite some experience for you.
It was. I enjoyed it, like all broadcasters do their careers. It's a family, it's a life, a way of life.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And you don't want to walk out of it easily.
And you've been retired for so many years.
I've been retired probably nearly as long as I had worked.
And you're still a distinguished leader.
Well, it's my first love.
In the family. In the family of broadcasting.
Broadcasting is my first love.
So you can't ever give it up.
I doubt if I can.
You can't.
No.
Because this book, for instance, now, many of us are going to read it.
Yes.
And we'll be reaching out, okay, you said this over there. Okay, let's get some further clarifications and probably ask you to do a follow-up. Like read maybe a second volume or something like that.
If you know how long it took me to do this one, you know that it will not be possible. Unless, of course, I've gained such experience that I can do it in a shorter time.
Well, maybe we'll use technology now. Because I want to talk about technology, for instance. Technology has been very impactful in the development of broadcasting in the world generally, but let's bring it home to Nigeria. You worked both in the period when there was regulation and the period when it was deregulated. By that, I don't mean you were full.
Yes.
I mean that you have seen it happen.
Yes.
What do you think of the deregulated broadcast environment in Nigeria?
It's a democratization of broadcasting.
Yes.
In 1953.
Yes.
Tony Enahoro of the Action Group moved a motion for self-government for Nigeria now.
Yes.
1953.
Yes.
And then it led to a crisis. Basically, the northern politicians said they were not ready for self-government, and there was a general split.
Yes.
And a lot of turmoil. And the colonial governor, don't want to guess any name in case I'm wrong, but I think it was Macpherson or somebody, went on Radio Nigeria, which was Federal Radio Corporation, I think it was already Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria.
Yeah, it was then.
Yeah, or Radio NBS or whatever.
Yes.
And criticized Chief Awolowo for the criticism and the political crisis that arose from that. Whereupon Chief Awolowo asked for a right of reply. And there was only one radio, and it was Federal Radio.
Yes.
And he was refused that right of reply. So a debate started as to why the federal government could have the monopoly of the airwaves.
Of the airwaves.
The subsequent constitutional conference, again, I'm not guessing whether it was maybe 56 or...
I think that was the 56.
56.
Yes.
Then allowed regions
to
have broadcasting powers, which the federal government was enjoying. Whereupon the Western region went straight away and started a TV station.
Oh, not even a radio?
No.
I thought they started both together.
So that's why the station is called WNTV.
Yes.
WNBS.
And then WNBS. That means that came later.
So WNTV was the first station.
Yes.
First operation, October 1,
yes.
1960.
Was it 60, 58?
59.
59.
59.
Okay, yes.
Independence was 60.
It was 60, yes.
And WNTV was a year before independence.
Before independence,
yes.
okay.
So that was first in Africa.
Yes.
6 months after, the radio
service so then
came
it became
along.
WNTV,
WNBS.
Yes.
All right. About the same time, Eastern Nigeria came on air. Eastern Nigeria Television, ENTV.
ENTV, yes.
So that was the kind of competition you
That
had.
was.
And I think by maybe 62 or thereabouts,
Yes.
Radio Kaduna Television,
Came on.
RKTV,
Yes.
came on with both radio and TV at
TV.
the same time. And then the Federal TV was later. I think they came in
later.
1962.
Yes.
Under, I think, Babangida's
Babangida, yes, it was Babangida that did
Constitution.
that, yes. I think it was-
anybody could set up a radio station, provided
You
he
had
had a license,
license.
granted by the president.
Yes.
Now, it was a bit too heavy that a license would be granted by the president because that made it discretionary. I mean, I applied for a license, for instance.
Yes.
Never got it.
Yeah, many of us.
But not because they didn't like me.
Yeah.
I had stupidly with my colleagues, including Christopher Kolade, the today's grandfather of broadcast.
Yes, yes.
And Teju Yeleye,
Yes.
my predecessor at Ibadan,
At Ibadan,
and
yes,
my
sir.
mentor.
Yes, sir.
3 of us, and a journalist, a reputed journalist, Richard Ikebe.
Richard Ikebe, yes, sir.
Richard
I know
Ikebe.
him, Yes.
Went to Obafemi, what was his name now?
Babangida?
No, to Obasanjo.
Okay, General Obasanjo, yes.
And asked him to come and be our chairman.
Chairman, ooh. It was a powerful board.
It was a powerful board. And we were laughing. I mean, you couldn't beat us.
Yes.
But then Babangida was to approve in person.
Yes.
In the meantime, General Obasanjo, having stepped down from being head of state, was criticizing Babangida's administration, that he didn't have a face of pity in his austerity.
Yes.
He said he should put a human face to his
To the
austerity,
yes.
austerity
Yes.
at the time. And he was a great, Obasanjo was a great champion of that.
Of that, yes.
Human face. And then he
application,
then
but-
applied for a license. And of course, the then head of state, Babangida said, you don't have a radio or TV license. You're criticizing me. What will you do when you have one?
So the rest is history.
history.
Wow.
There's technological deregulation now. Anybody can run a TV station from his
your
phone,
from your home,
practically.
Yes,
I say practically
via
because-
the internet.
Yes, via the internet.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the freedom, the capacity to do that, doesn't it seem like it's eroding the golden rules and tenets of broadcasting and how to conduct the business?
Yes, just as it's eroding it,
Yes.
so it's also enriching it. There's such great capacity now for you to broadcast.
Yes.
In my days, it was a great effort to set up an outside broadcast TV. You went there 2 days ahead to set up your antenna for microwave delivery to the end station. If you're doing it from a football match, you didn't have enough resources to have a permanent outside broadcast set up in the stadium. So you took your stuff back and setting it up and aligning.
Aligning for line of sight.
Oh, exactly. So it was, today you just go on your data and you're broadcasting to the world practically.
Sent through YouTube or,
Yes.
or Facebook
Yes.
or any other book.
Exactly, any other book. So technology has liberalized broadcasting. You don't need an elaborate building. Look at, I'm sure whatever you are doing here cannot be any less than what you were doing at Victoria Island, Ahmadu Bello Way, NTA Channel 10.
It's the same.
Big grounds, I don't know how many hundreds of people working there.
Yeah.
In 1986, at NTA, when I was DG, there were 7,000 employees all over the country. All over the country.
All over the country?
Yes, 7,000.
That's a lot.
Hell of a lot of people.
The professionalism expected in the content, the balance expected seems not to be there.
Well, this is more an ethical matter
Yes.
than one of measurement of success. In media, success tends to be measured in the quantity of recipients.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. In commercial broadcasting, that fetches you more money. If your station is popular with people with buying power, then you get adverts and you make more money. Right? In the public sector, or from the public service point of view, if you are touching more lives and more souls and more minds,
yes,
that is a measure of your success. And it was called broadcasting.
Yes.
Now, what are you doing? Narrowcasting.
Narrowcasting.
Yes.
That's it.
Even Lagos, I had only one TV station in the past. When we were moving to two stations, it was doubling the entire
Yes,
thing.
but now
Today,
in the Lagos area alone,
Exactly.
I think we have more than 32 radio stations.
All right.
And not less than
10,
12 or 13
television
stations. Yes. So it's still broadcasting, but they're
no narrowcasting.
narrowcasting to
In the sense-
select
Exactly.
audience
You have to
groups
choose
and all
your
that,
audience, yes.
and specialize
Must
in
be exact-
reaching them.
yes.
But you didn't have the luxury of that specialization as DGNTA. But what you did have was that generations, including myself, grew up being influenced by content that was developed or produced under your direct supervision. But was there any time that your content rubbed off the powers that be
oh yes,
wrongly?
oh yes.
Would
Oh,
you
yes.
like to cite an instance?
All right. Like, I was charged with disloyalty to the presidency.
Wow.
And what was the real charge? I was not showing the president often enough on television. Not that I was showing him in bad light.
Yeah, just
not often enough.
He should have been portrayed more. How was that resolved?
Well, when I heard that there was trouble coming, I went up to him because a lot of these problems are created by
people, hangers on.
Hangers on.
Yes.
So I went up to him and I said, if we don't show you all the time, it's not because we don't love you. But and the real example I gave him was, if we showed you so often that people, as soon as you appear, they say, let me know when
when he's off.
Let me go and use the toilet quickly.
Yes.
When he's over, call me.
Call me.
I said, you really,
You don't want
that's
that.
not what we want to do for you. He happened to be a president who you couldn't read his emotions from his face. So whether he agreed with me or not, it didn't show. The same thing had happened with the military head of state, Obasanjo.
Oh.
But he comes fighting.
Yes.
When he summoned me because he was fed up with me, he said, I got in front of him and he had a list of charges against me, written down, notes.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was taking them one after the other. And we were going through them. And he said, you told your people not to put me on TV. And I was looking at him. He said, yes, talk. I said, well. He said, what do you mean, well? I said, I didn't say they shouldn't put you on TV. I just said, you shouldn't be put on TV just so that to say that we have a head of state. I said, we put you on TV because you are doing something presidential.
Yes.
You're doing something that calls for it. But by the time little children and housewives, and I'm not putting them down,
Yes.
begin to say, that man, let me go and
do something else
quickly before you get into serious business.
Yeah.
I said, that means that he said, that's not what they told him. I said, well, I wasn't there when they were telling me.
They were telling you.
Yeah. But I repeated the thing. He left in 79.
Yes.
And the civilian that succeeded him, I was already hearing rumors like this, that his courtiers were already saying, that television man, he doesn't show respect. And I went to him. He hadn't accused me. And I told him what we're trying to do. Why would he show him? No, that was 79. Well, I lasted another 3 years. He fired me. I was removed.
Oh, no.
Yes.
But you know, the tenure of service or of a job in the public sector seems to be better guaranteed than in the private sector. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes.
Especially in broadcasting.
Yes, because it seemed to be better guaranteed in the private sector.
No.
In the public
sector.
I'll be surprised. Private sector,
yes,
you have a target.
Yes.
Returns.
Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Now, if you can't deliver the money, you failed. Public sector, you don't have a brief. And because you don't have a brief, many people make a brief for themselves.
For themselves.
Make the boss happy by showing him or by saying nice things about him and to him. Yes. And singing his praise. Yes. The same military head of state, General Obasanjo, when he called me and we had this chat, he said a West African head of state visited him in Nigeria. And Nigerian press and were blasting the man. I think either Togo or Benin, I don't remember. They were abusing him like they do. And the man got to General Obasanjo. I said, what the hell is going on in your country? He said, is that how they treat a visiting head of state? Obasanjo said, what? He said, your newspapers are radio stations, they're abusing me. He said, oh, they abuse me too. I said, he doesn't understand that in his country, if his picture appears on TV, everybody, if you're in your house, you get up. Yes. And the head of state is on air.
Whoa.
Yes.
He said that?
Yes. At that time, yes.
That means we're different.
Far better.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a break now, sir. We'll come back very soon. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. It's still a conversation with Engineer Vincent Maduka. Sir, it's really kind of you to afford me this opportunity. You're an elder statesman. Yes, you are.
Elderly man.
No, sir. You're an elder statesman. You see, not many people have had the kind of experience you've had. You worked in the public service all your life. When they were to start the Nigerian Communications Commission, you served as consultant and CEO. You have contributed. So you are an elder statesman. You may not have been a politician before, and you may not be a politician right now.
Okay.
But your service in the public sector is illustrious. And we have to ask, what do you see happening in our country? Or how do you see what is happening in our country?
I feel sad.
Yeah.
But then you must try and explain what your eyes are seeing. And see whether your analysis leads to a solution. And you can be sad, and then what? The main issue is we're not doing well.
Yeah.
Can we do better? Properly, the answer is yes. What are we not doing right? How do we do it right? And those are the difficult ones. how would we like Nigeria to be? That's easy. There are examples everywhere. You can't say you want to be like the UK, for instance. They've been at this game for a long time.
Very long.
You can say you want to be like Malaysia or like Hong Kong.
Yes.
You may not have exactly the same background or the same DNA as them, but you can see where they are coming from within your lifetime and where they are now.
Yeah.
So we can see what we would like to be. But how can we get there? Did we miss the road, as we say, somewhere? Or are we still on the right path, in which case it's only a matter of time? Now, that I can't answer all those questions easily. I can say that as two nations under external forces, Nigeria and say Malaysia, Nigeria and Singapore were at par. Beyond that, racially we are different.
Yes.
If you take the Singaporeans, they are largely Chinese and Indians.
Yes.
Those two kinds of people had writings before the current European civilization.
Yeah.
If we had, it was not so widespread.
Yes.
So perhaps we have some catching up to do compared to those people.
Yes.
But we can see what they've done. And we know that everything they've done is within our capacity. But each of us can't get up and start to do those things. We have to be organized as a body. And if we don't want to be organized externally, we have to be organized internally.
Yes.
Now, who is going to do it? That man is called a leader. A lot of people say, oh, followership matters. There are theories of leadership, and I was privileged to teach leadership at some point at university level. It's the leader that decides really how the followers are going to behave.
Yes.
A good leader is going to bring him a bunch of criminals, theoretically.
Yes.
And he wants to go from point A to point B. And those people are not used to being told what to do. A good leader will get them to go from point A to point B.
Okay.
It may take him a little longer than a bad leader.
Yeah. But sir, the leadership vacuum in Nigeria, is there really a leadership vacuum? Or it's a question of right or wrong?
I have not said there is no leader. I have not said so. But you're not a leader if you're not doing well as a leader. You can't say you're a footballer because you can kick the ball into your own goal. That's why I put in my team.
No.
But you're a footballer and you're a kicker. And if we're not getting the ball in the net, it's because we have not got it right.
Got what right now? The leadership question or the people question?
No.
There's no everything together.
There's no peopleship.
Oh.
A leader takes his people to where they all want to go.
Okay.
Not where he wants to go. Where he and they want to go. They must coincide.
Just get them going.
You have to get them to go the right way, at the right pace, to get to the right place.
Okay. Now, if we...
It will take time. It will take time. But you must see at all times that we are in the right direction.
So, something like the ethics or ethos or morality of public life is not there. It's not like it used to be in your time.
I agree.
If that is not there, what's the hope for the country?
Oh, there are two ways of looking at it. You need somebody who knows, A, where we should be going, B, how we should do it.
Yeah.
He may not be dead certain, but he'll be adjusting as we're going.
Yes.
That's one. Two is, I'm not aware of any society that has really turned around in 8 years.
No.
No, so 8 years is not enough for any leader, anywhere in the world.
We've been at it for...
Not with one leader.
1999. Oh, you are saying that we need one leader
who knows
the
where
way
we're going and how we can get there. And how to take this bunch of animals and organize them properly so that we can get there.
And then, but when his 8 years finishes,
you should get another man who also knows.
Okay, that's
who
why...
Who even knows better now, because you've got experience, you yourself choosing. You've got experience from the last experience.
That suggests that there must still be a space for the anointing of successors to political office holders.
Anointing suggests that somebody other than the mass of the people is determining.
Okay.
And if it's a bad man anointing, you can only anoint a bad man.
Okay.
So that's not a solution.
That's not the solution.
It has to be an enlightened people taking a decision. Sometimes they are not taking decision. By enlightenment doesn't mean that they are well trained and skilled. But your pain will teach you how to select somebody who will make you prosper. Okay. The pain you are going through tells you that that's not the man who will get me there.
That's very good, sir. Now, I'm going to ask you this question about our Nigeria. How do we integrate ourselves better? Ethnic groupings and interrelationships and all that. For instance, you said that you went to school overseas on a scholarship from the Western region, and you were bonded. You came, you served, and you even rose to become GM of WNTV. These days, people are saying, no, if you don't speak this language, you can't be here. If you don't do that, you can't be there.
Well, you've chosen the wrong expression. If you don't speak this language, I speak the language.
Oh, no. Okay, no. With you, because you...
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, yes.
You went to King's College, you speak Yoruba.
No, I'm not allowed to speak any other language at King's. Or
at King's, yes, I know.
Yes. But no, my own is slightly different.
Yes.
I was born in Lagos, here, Ekpetedo. All right? Yeah. Went to primary school in Lagos.
In Lagos.
My first language might not have been exactly Yoruba, but I spoke Yoruba outside. And if I crossed that door, I spoke Igbo.
Igbo.
All right? And then my dad called me Dele, which was my general name. Yeah. If he called me Ifeanyi Chukwu, I knew I was in trouble.
Whoa. That was the code.
So I knew something's gone wrong.
Yes.
All right. So home and outside. But I think we need time.
Time.
And I'll tell you why.
Yes, sir.
When I was growing up in the street in Lagos, you see, when you are a successful GM and so, you can now talk about when you are growing in the street. Exactly. But if you ended up in the street, you won't talk about it.
That's true, sir.
When I was growing up in the street, we used to call people Kobo Kobo. And that was anybody who was not Hausa and not Yoruba. We didn't know all these other grades.
Yes.
Kobo Kobo comes from Kobo Kobo. And yes. Somebody says it wrongly.
Yes, and it's Kobo Kobo.
Then the other way, Aroke.
Aroke, yes.
All right? You didn't speak Inago. Yeah. Inago is Lagos.
It's Lagos.
All these people now claiming that they own Lagos, and I lie.
Yes.
All right? They were Arokes.
Yes.
When I was growing up. They all had marks. Aroke. Or they were Ijebus.
Yes.
And the Ijebus were the ones renting our bicycles for 1 kobo. They were the ones mending bicycles. They were the ones doing blacksmithery, goldsmith. And they were making Owo Ijebu.
Owo Ijebu, yes.
Right?
Manda.
Manda.
Yes.
Okay. So they were not Lagosians. I was a Lagosian.
Born.
Because we were the ones calling other people things. Yes. We were the ones calling other people names.
Yes.
Calling Ijebuni, Aroke,
yes.
And so on. All right? That was, let's say that was 80 years ago.
Yes.
I got to Ibadan. After university,
yes.
I was working there. And the Ekiti man was Ekiti. He was not that. He was Ekiti.
Yes.
Ijebu man was Ijebu man.
Yes.
In Ibadan, they used to say to people, Ijebu nie abenyon. Ijebunia Abeyon. And during the crisis,
Wetia crisis,
right?
yes.
If you didn't answer properly, they might pour petrol on you.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, it was as bad as that. So, but now, all those Ijebus and their Rokis, now they are claiming that they are all together in Yoruba. Yoruba is not a Yoruba word.
Yes.
The name Yoruba, when I was broadcasting, we said, Enyara Karo Jire. The word Yoruba was around, but we didn't use it.
Yes.
Because it was not so acceptable.
Okay.
Karo Jire means Ekiti. It's Karo Jire. Ijesha.
Karo Jire.
Oyo.
Yeah.
Ondo.
There's a common greeting amongst them. Yes.
Karo Jire. Yoruba was either Aroke or, well, Yoruba was essentially biblical. I'm not an expert in what I'm talking about, but I'm somebody who experienced it.
It's experiential for you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yoruba was as written in the Bible, then in
text.
Text.
Okay.
Yes.
But, sir,
where is the origin of the word Yoruba?
Exactly.
You're going to find out after this program. I don't know.
I will. But you said we need time.
Yes.
What would this time do?
What I'm driving at is that we've come from the time when you said Ijebunia Abeyon to the time that you are now saying that all of you jointly. So you've united.
Yes.
Ijebus at Enyon have united. Huh?
Yeah. Okay, so you believe that at some time,
if there is enough time,
if there's enough time, there's going to be that unity that will bring us all
But
together.
you can hasten it by deliberation.
Okay.
By putting things in place to make it happen. You can. You don't just wait like typical waiting for God.
Waiting for God.
Or Godot.
But God is already here.
God is very busy. He's very busy. And Nigeria is not the only problem. It's the only problem.
At all.
Exactly.
Plenty trouble.
Yes.
Sir, now that you're retired, what's your day like?
In a way, disorganized.
How?
Yes. I mean, I don't wake up. Today I knew I had to come here.
Yes.
And yesterday I said, oh, how am I going? Oh, a lion. Which one do I want to wear? I don't want to. I can't wear anything formal.
Yes.
So that occupies my mind. How am I going to? What do I put on?
Yes.
And so on. And then I iron my.
Oh, you iron by yourself?
Yeah.
Because so I'm in good company then.
You do that too.
Oh yes, I do.
I have time, man. And I'm
Nobody
very critical.
can iron for me.
I'm very critical. Exactly. Very critical.
Yes.
Whatever the washerman does, he does the bulk.
Yes.
But sometimes I take out what he has, then I wet it, maybe starch it, and because I have time on my hands.
You get the crease right.
Yeah, I get it.
So what else do you do on a daily basis?
Books, which I've never finished.
Oh.
I've never. I take one, I read part of it, and then when I come back, I can't find it. So I take the next one, and I read. Because the one I was reading, I might have gone downstairs with it and left it downstairs.
Okay.
When I want to get it back, I don't want to go back downstairs, or maybe. So I pick up another
book.
Yes.
And start reading.
Yes, start reading.
The
And so I most of the time, most of the time I watch TV.
Okay.
Second to that, I read. And
yes,
then,
the book.
Yes. It took me a long time.
Yes. The book.
Because I was not doing it continuously.
Yes.
I did it. I didn't like it. I gave up.
Yeah.
Then I met the founder of the Pan-Atlantic University. I've known their organization way back from my Ibadan days. And I found out he was writing 3 books at the same time.
3?
He was a professor, a professor of engineering. He was writing 3 books.
Professor of engineering?
Yes. But none of those 3 was in engineering at the time I'm talking about. I said, how the hell are you? I can't write 1 book, and you are writing 3. And he told me how he organized himself, and he got somebody to dictate to. Dictate to, you go away, do that. Anyway, finally I met my publisher, who began to organize me. And so things started to move very quickly.
And we got here.
Yes.
real life.
Well, this looks like an ad for me. Which
It is, sir. It is, sir. Sir, ordinarily, I wouldn't do this, but for you, I would do it because you are an icon in our profession. You are a distinguished engineer, a distinguished broadcaster, and you trained many of us. I didn't have the privilege of working directly under you, but I actually was in broadcasting, let me say it proudly, when you were still in broadcasting. So I started in 1980, so 6 years later you were retired.
Yes.
But I still saw and followed stuff you did. More than that, sir, you are an example of a great Nigerian who served his country with all that he's got. So talking about your book is a privilege. And even at the end of the program, we'll put where and how people can buy this book. I'd like to thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you very
for
much.
coming to grace our studios, and I look forward to the next time we'll be with you. Thank you so much, sir.
I feel honored. I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Actually, you honored us by coming. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
It's been Timeless Conversations. This week, we had Engineer Vincent Maduka. Yes, he told you that Vincent Dele Maduka. Anytime his father said Ifeanyi Chukwu, there was trouble. But there was no trouble because I can't even call him Ifeanyi Chukwu. It's Engineer Vincent Maduka as my guest on Timeless Conversations for this edition. We look forward to next time that I'll bring another guest to you. Thank you for watching. Bye.
And a warm good afternoon. I am Emmanuel Olububukun. This is News Brief. President Bola Tinubu has presented a budget estimate of 27.50 trillion naira for the 2024 fiscal year, based on a crude oil benchmark price of $77.96 per barrel, daily oil production of 1.78 million barrels per day, and an exchange rate of 750 naira to the US dollar. The budget deficit is projected at 9.18 trillion naira.
We have adopted a conservative oil price benchmark of $77.96 US per barrel and daily oil production estimate of 1.78 million barrels per day. We have also adopted a naira to US dollar exchange rate of 750 per US dollar for 2024. Accordingly, an aggregate expenditure of 27.5 trillion naira is proposed for the federal government in 2024, of which the non-debt recurrent expenditure is 9.92 trillion naira, while debt service is projected downward to be 8.25 trillion naira, and capital expenditure is 8.7 trillion naira. Nigeria remains committed to meeting its debt obligations. Projected debt service is 45% of the expected total revenue. The budget deficit is projected at 9.18 trillion naira in 2024, or 3.88% of GDP. This is lower than the 13.7 trillion naira deficit recorded in year 2023, which represents 6.11% of GDP. The deficit will be financed by new borrowings totaling 7.83 trillion naira. Strategically, 298 billion naira from privatization proceeds and 1.05 trillion naira drawdown on multilateral and bilateral loans secured for specific projects.
He, however, announced that the 2024 budget of Renewed Hope aims to tackle critical issues, boost economy, and resolve security concerns in the upcoming fiscal year.
The 2024 appropriation has been themed Budget of Renewed Hope. The proposed budget seeks to achieve job-rich economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhanced human capital development, as well as poverty reduction and greater access to social security. Defense and internal security are recorded top priority. The internal security architecture will be overhauled to enhance law enforcement capabilities and safeguard lives, property, and investment across the country. Human capital is the most critical resource of national development. Accordingly, the budget prioritizes human development with particular attention to children, the foundation of our nation. To improve the effectiveness of our budget performance, government will focus on ensuring value for money, greater transparency, and accountability. In this regard, we will work more closely with development partners and the private sector to address long-standing issues in education. A more sustainable model of funding tertiary education will be implemented, including the student loan scheme planned to become operational by January 2024.
Now, the Supreme Court has extended the phase-out of ordinary note until December 31st, 2023, as the ruling led by Justice Inyang Okoro was issued in response to a federal government application. The court ruled that the old and new 200, 500, and 1,000 naira note should continue to be used as legal tender until a process is put in place after consultation with relevant stakeholders. The government also argued it could not print enough new notes to facilitate the phase-out before the deadline.
It's important for us to know that today, with this ruling, the Supreme Court has confirmed that it's not just the final court, but a policy court. The court has reviewed its judgment and has now allowed the federal government to allow the old and new notes to go on pari passu until the federal government puts a process in place for its replacement or redesign after due consultation with all the relevant stakeholders. So the Supreme Court again has come to rescue Nigerians from avoidable economic hardship. And it's not indefinite. To the extent that the federal government is now enjoined to come up with policies after due consultation with all the relevant stakeholders.
Now, one person has been confirmed killed in fresh protest that rocked Kano State over an appeal court verdict sacking Governor Abba Yusuf of the New Nigeria People Party and NPP. The deceased Salisu Rabiu, identified as a footballer, is one of the persons shot by policemen dispersing protesters. Now, Wednesday's protest is the fourth since the appellate court sacked the governor on November 17, 2023, and declared All Progressive Congress APC candidate Nasiru Gawuna as a winner of the March poll. On Wednesday, protesters gathered in some locations across the state with placards of inscriptions like "Our mandate must be restored," Kanu voted for Abba, injustice exposed, institucy, amongst others.
We are Nigerian citizens and we have the right to do the protest. So we are not stopping anybody from doing anything. We are here to show our anger that the judiciary is now zero.
Investigation has already commenced on this. Our area commander Dala is being directed to fish out if any of the policemen could be identified as the one that fired the shot and who gave him that instruction to fire. Already one police inspector has been arrested.
The New Nigerian People's Party and NPP has filed a petition with the European Union, the United States and the African Union over the sacking of Abba Yusuf as Kano governor. The party has also petitioned the Canadian High Commission and ECOWAS, as NPP's national editor, Ladipo Johnson, criticized attempts to truncate the will of the people in Kano regarding the March 18 election. Johnson called on President Bola Tinubu and international organizations to cancel the Supreme Court on the Kano governorship disputes.
It's common knowledge that in 2023, with a few months to the election, the Kwankwasia political movement and the national movement, TNM, joined the New Nigeria People's Party, a relatively unknown party, without strong structures whatsoever, and were able to win Kano State governorship election resoundingly in a free and fair election, as they did in 2019 on the platform of the PDP. Sadly, the tribunal and the appeal courts have both recently obtained the overwhelming victory in two separate contentious judgments, which many legal luminaries have described as strange to the laws of the land, ignoring substantial justice, and in effect, snatching from the NNPP and the good people of Kano State a mandate freely given to their candidate, engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf. As Almighty God will have it, the CTC of the appeal court judgment is at variance with the judgment read by the three-man panel of the courts, clearly showing that the judgment was in our favor. As a party, we are not taking this development lightly and will do anything within the ambit of the law to take what the entire world.
A political group under the aegis of the People's Democratic Party concerned group in Nasarawa State has called on the Supreme Court to carefully review the recent judgment of the appeal court sitting in Abuja, which validated Governor Abdullahi Sule as the authentic winner of the 2023 governorship election in the state. You recall that the tribunal had on October the 2nd sacked Governor Sule of the All Progressive Congress and declared David Ombugadu of the PDP as the actual winner of the election. Speaking at the end of a peaceful protest held against the judgment in Lafia, the leader of the group, Adamu Henry, urged the Supreme Court to thoroughly look into the judgment of the appeal court in Nasarawa governorship election in the interest of upholding the ideals of democracy in Nigeria. Henry lamented that the judgment fell short of real democratic principles that govern the nation, while expressing worry over the decision of the appeal court, which seemed to shield the insincerity of the Independent National Electoral Commission in his declaration of Sule as the duly elected governor of the state.
Witness a decision that seems to shield the insincerity of INEC, their irregularity, thereby questioning the credibility of our electoral process. We wish to highlight specifically instances of irregularity that were overlooked by the tribunal under the guise of technicalities. Authorities, particularly the Supreme Court, to thoroughly scrutinize this matter, rectify the injustice that have been committed. We trust in the integrities of the judiciary, a commitment to upholding the ideals of democracy in Nigeria.
In a bid to champion inclusivity and equity in the education, and the British Council has commenced a 3-day annual inclusive education conference in Nigeria. Educators, policymakers and stakeholders from across the country are gathered to discuss and come up with solutions addressing the theme of fostering inclusion and equity in education. Nigeria's Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, who was represented by his special advisor, Atiku Abubakar, and the British Council Country Director, Lucy Person, emphasized the need for sustained efforts to dismantle barriers to inclusive education, ensuring that no child is left behind. The Council reassured the federal government of its commitment to fostering collaboration and sharing best practices.
Recognizing the diverse needs for our students, we need to continue to strengthen and expand inclusive education programs and provide services that ensure that no child is left behind. Our mission as a ministry is to dismantle existing barriers to the attainment of these goals and ensure that every child's right to quality education is attained.
Being inclusive isn't about applying special treatment. It's a way of being, a state of mind, an approach and a set of values that are put into action and embedded. And when all stakeholders work together for inclusiveness, all children will thrive in our schools and our societies. Persons with disabilities unequally suffer the brunt of educational exclusion. We therefore need to rethink the way in which we conceive education and how we implement learning programmes. We need to transform our education systems, schools and learning centres and make them accessible to and equipped for persons with special needs and those who face societal obstacles and prejudices.
Speakers including Professor Ismail Junaidu, Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, and also Yeni Laita, who represented the head of National Office, West African Examination Council, WAEC, addressed critical issues and also expressed optimism about the impact of the conference on shaping future educational policies.
We also note that implementing the framework needs a holistic approach within the framework of effective partnership and the collaboration, just as the initiative done by the British Council. We need to collaborate. We need to partner.
With the commencement of WAS from paper-based to computer-based method of assessment, it has become imperative to include candidates with special needs in electronic assessment approaches, thereby creating an enabling platform for them to participate seamlessly in our exams. Effective collaborative engagement between diverse stakeholders is vital to supporting the development and educational opportunities, outcomes of students with special needs.
Other developing partners, including the Nigerian Governors Forum, represented by Dr. Leo Ebenezer, James O'Donnell of the United Kingdom Development Office, and also Linda Ashola of the United States Agency for International Development, also emphasized the importance of inclusive education as a catalyst for societal development. However, the organizers say workshops and panel sessions have also been designed to provide a platform for attendees to explore innovative approaches, ensuring that education caters to the diverse needs of all learners.
To foster inclusive and affordable education devoid of discrimination and deprivation. I encourage you to provide solutions and recommendations to improve inclusive and quality education for children with special needs for national socio-economic development and for overall nation building.
It enables a positive learning environment, an environment where all children feel included and involved. It improves academic achievements and obviously leads to egalitarian society. So these are others, some of the reasons that why the British Council, in our pursuit to create an environment where anyone is left behind, nobody's left behind in the education system, that we are committing resources, committing time, and then also encouraging you all to join us in this journey.
The conference aims to inspire actionable steps towards creating a more equitable education system in Nigeria, engaging participants in quality discussions, promoting the establishment of networks that will facilitate ongoing collaboration, and setting the stage for tangible changes that will benefit students of all backgrounds across the country, and also aligning with global best practices. The peace and unity of the Kalabari people of Rivers State remains paramount, and Ijaw leaders across the Niger Delta must work tirelessly to ensure a peaceful coexistence among Izans and also other ethnic nationalities. These were the words of the president of the movement for the survival of Izan ethnic nationality in the Niger Delta, Musend Comrade Kennedy West, during the procession for the final rites of the King of Kalabari Kingdom, His Majesty Professor Theophilus Prince Will. Addressing newsmen after the rituals in the streets of Port Harcourt, the River State capital, West said that the late king was known across Ijaw land for his peaceful disposition and his hospitality, and has left a worthy legacy which all Ijaw sons and daughters must emulate if they must move forward.
With vision, carrying every community within the Kalabari Kingdom along. Dialogue, roundtable discussion, continue to jaw. Even great wars always end up on the round table. Not that there is an argument and then one is in a dagger-drawn battle, which usually ends the communities in total disarray. So many communities have run almost extinct because of that kind of, very violent disposition, unforgiving spirit, couldn't tolerate one another, lack of consideration for one another, and all of that.
And now to other parts of Africa. The European Union has announced on Wednesday that it was cancelling its election observation mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, citing technical reasons. On Tuesday evening, the EU had stated that its election observers who had arrived in DRC had been unable to deploy across the country for security reasons. The vast Central African country, with a population of almost 100 million, is due to hold legislative and presidential elections on December the 20th, in which incumbent President Felix Tshisekedi, 60, is seeking a second term. Now straight outside Africa, a U.S. military aircraft, a CV-22 Osprey, has crashed into the sea off the coast of southern Japan, killing 8 crew members. The aircraft disappeared from radar at 2:40 p.m. local time and was found with a deployed lifeboat. The aircraft's left engine appeared to be on fire as it went down into the sea in Yakushima Airport, as the U.S. forces in the region are still gathering information about the incident. The hybrid aircraft, which can take off and land like a helicopter but can also rotate its propellers and cruise like an aeroplane, has a troubled history with fatal crashes. And on to business, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edu, has said the country cannot rely on borrowing to fund the 2024 budget. As I said, the nation must make necessary sacrifices to generate adequate revenues to reduce its current high deficit financing. The minister stated this during the public presentation and breakdown of the approved 2024 budget.
In order to stabilize the Nigerian economy for rapid inclusive growth, there is going to be less reliance on borrowing. The budget deficit is being brought down from about 6.1% of GDP to 3.88% of GDP. That's a huge change in direction from unlimited and limitless borrowing to focusing on revenue, expenditure management, to give value for money with expenditure and to raise revenue.
Straight down to entertainment stories. A popular Nigerian singer, Ahmed Ololade aka Asake, has been ranked Nigeria's most streamed artist of 2023 on Spotify. The streaming platform made the announcement in data published on Wednesday. Now, 3 of Asake's songs appeared in the top 10 list of the most streamed tracks on Spotify in Nigeria. His Lonely at the top earned its place at the very top. 2:30 finished 4th, and Amapiano with Olamide finished 10th. And this year's Spotify wrapped for Nigeria. The Lonely at the top came first, while Burna Boy ranked 2nd and Davido third. Shay Vibes also finished the year in 4th position on the charts, followed by Amalay in 5th, Bianex in 6th, Rema in 7th, Odumo in 8th, Olamide in 9th, and also Wizkid in 10th place. Now also Shakel was the most streamed artist in Togo and also Ghana. And in sport, defending champions, Enyimba fell to a 1-0 defeat at home against Remo Stars in a rescheduled match day 5 game of the 2023-24 Nigerian Premier Football League game in Aba on Wednesday. The win in Aba is Remo's second on the road this season after snatching a 2-1 win at Bayelsa United on match day 3. It also marked their first win in their last three games, as Daniel's side now moved to second in the table with 19 points, 1 point below table toppers Lobby Stars. Now they will return home to play Plateau United on Sunday, while Enyimba, who are now 5th with 16 points, will also welcome Sunshine Stars on match day 11. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plosive Africa and Plosive Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on LionMix and LionMix.tv and also Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun. Many thanks for watching.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
The Nigerian political space is an interesting and evolving scene, especially as Nigeria continues to practice democracy. Over the years, many celebrities in the country have been appointed by their state governments as commissioners, special assistants, and advisors, while some have intentionally delved into politics with the plan of serving the people and pursuing a career in politics. Today, we will be highlighting 5 female Nigerian entertainers who have been in politics or are in politics. At the top of this list is Funke Akindele. In July 2022, popular Nollywood actress Olufunke Akindele was announced as the deputy governor candidate for the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for Lagos State in the coming 2023 elections. The Nollywood star, best known for her Jennifer character, will be running alongside Olajide Adediran, a journalist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist popularly known as Jandor. Next, we have Tonto Dike. Ahead of the 2023 Rivers State gubernatorial elections, Nollywood actress Tonto Dike has revealed her intentions to run for deputy governor of the state. She had earlier in 2020, during an interview with the Ovation magazine publisher Dele Momodu, announced her intention to go into politics in 2023. Governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress ADC Rivers State, Tonte Ibraye, on 24th of June, announced Tonto Dike as his running mate for the 2023 governorship elections in the state.
As a matter of fact, your presence irritates me. And let me make it clear to you that I have the documents to which you look for.
Moving on, we have Ini Edo. Ini Edo is an accomplished Nollywood actress, film producer, and director.
And you're not supposed to be here. I'm out there. You're the one keep giving me this drug that gets you depressed. I am not a depressed person. Leave me alone. Don't listen to me.
She is one of the actresses who has previously held political positions. In 2016, she served as the special assistant to Governor Gabriel Udom Emmanuel, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, on culture and tourism. Her appointment was renewed in 2020 when the state's current governor, Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, was re-elected. Still on this list, we have Kate Henshaw. Veteran Nollywood actress Kate Henshaw, on July 19, 2014, officially launched her campaign website as she sought to represent the Calabar Municipal Odukmani Federal Constituency on the People's Democratic Party platform. Henshaw, however, lost the primary election to retired Honorable Essien Ayi, but was appointed by Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade as Special Advisor Liaison, Lagos, in December 2015. Recently, she recounted how she spent 35 million naira to pursue her ambition to become a member of the House of Representatives and her regrets. And finally, we have Mercy Johnson Okoje.
Iche, this is the money my father borrowed from your hand. Please, do not go near my father's Siroko tree. Do not go near my Iroko tree. Biko.
Popular Nollywood actress Mercy Johnson was appointed as the Senior Special Assistant on Entertainment, Arts and Culture to Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, in 2017. The actress has stated that she will not enter partisan politics because she believes she has enough influence as a filmmaker and appointee. Interestingly, her husband, Prince Odianosen Okoje, won the APC 2022 House of Representatives as a Northeast Southeast Federal Constituency primary election. A popular quote from Charles de Gaulle states that politics is too serious a matter to be left to the politicians. And in Nigeria, with more Nigerian entertainment celebrities in the political space, this quote is true.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osaiwa Mesale NJ. How are you?
I'm doing great.
How was your day? How was the week?
Deny you at this point because
we're
not the ones cracking the
I
joke.
know. I don't understand.
You got something.
I know she did. I was going to refuse. We will not laugh so that you be the only person laughing. I will tell your viewers.
We're here to have a serious conversation.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
How was your week? How was the weekend?
Well, it's been a great week. A lot has happened. We had a lot of conferences and stuff like that. And then I was put on the spot, so I had to speak. Thank God for Ways. I was able to speak and smile. But yeah, it was good. You know, there was a lot of talking. You know how conferences are, IT conferences with CIOs and CTOs and stuff like that. So you just have to keep selling. Like, you're constantly saying the same thing in different forms. So you're just trying to sell. All that's behind your head is sell. So it's been, I'm happy that it was successful, you know, all the events we've attended and all that. So it's been quite productive.
Awesome. Johnny baby. Yeah. How are you? Good. What a one.
What do I say? I'm happy the year's coming to an end. Like I said, I feel like I need a long rest, right? If you leave me, I'll start my rest from now and then resume in January.
We are going on rest now. After we celebrate our...
We are going on rest. You and who?
You?
Ways is going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not our day job, yeah. okay.
Even my day job is not going on rest. Ways is going to go on. We're going to go on.
I think companies should start considering. Really, SMEs should start considering letting your staff actually rest.
Can we
let the workers breathe?
No problem. We can also pay you half of the month's salary.
Oh no, come on! I'm not talking about the full month. I'm not talking about the full month. I'm just talking about like ending. You know, on the 28th. You and who is in the office? All your clients have gone on leave, so I'm on break. So yeah.
Jennifer, I said you have 2 projects.
Yeah, I've been added to like 2 new projects with my existing one. So it's like I have to put myself in different directions. And honestly, right now,
like you're in holiday mood.
I'm telling you.
Trust me, I understand
like
it.
Every day I wake up, I have to constantly tell my brain, you need to wake up because we need to get this thing done before the year runs out, that kind of thing. But
interesting.
Yeah, God is my strength.
The Lord be with thee. Maybe we have
also with you.
We had a very successful production over the weekend. I'm super grateful for my entire team at Parallax. We did the 4 days back to back. It was marathon. Imagine waking up at 5 a.m., sleeping at 2 a.m. every day. It wasn't funny. So we had to take Monday, Tuesday off. Today was the first day we're resuming at work, and we have another project coming tomorrow. So it's a long list. But we're hoping to God that we finalize the week. No, you pray for successes and you pray for businesses. So for me, every opportunity that a client comes, a paying client, I mean, it's a blessing for me. I'm super grateful to God. I don't take it for granted. So thank you, Jesus. On that note, we want to discuss women, right? And from an inclusion standpoint,